Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 4 of the Blue Talks Amplify Your Message event. And since we didn't have time to do a very fun thing that we learned from one of our other Blue Talks guests, we're going to do it right now live. So, for everyone at home, I invite you to do the same thing. Take a pen, pencil, whatever it is you're writing with, something small and skinny, and we're going to take the pen and we're going to put it in our mouths, but not yet. We're going to say out loud the tip of the tongue, the teeth, and the lips. And I want to thank Julia for this. So take the pen, put it right at the front part of your teeth, and then say the tip of the tongue, the teeth, and the lips. The tip of the tongue, the teeth, and the lips. Tip of the tongue, the teeth, and the lips.
The teeth of the tongue, the teeth, and the lips.
And really what that does is it helps us to open our mouths for those of us who like to do this sometimes. Yeah, it really works the muscles. So welcome again to day 4. I am so excited to have my co-host today be Masha Pavlova. Thank you. Oh, I had a hard morning, so when I found out you were coming to co-host, I was like, oh, the tension just floated away because we enjoy each other's company.
Very much so.
Tell us just a little bit about you, and then we'll bring our first guest on.
Laura, thank you so much for having me here. I am so excited. I've been watching the last couple of days. We have an amazing lineup for today. A little bit about myself. I'm a speaker, coach, or author, all of the fun things and stuff. I am one of those crazy people that believes that we can change the world. And the way that we do that is we work together. We don't do this alone in our own little pods. We have to come together and connect and find ways that we can support each other. Because guess what? The superpowers that you have, and then there's those things that are outside of that. Well, the things that are outside of that are somebody else's superpowers. So amazing things happen when we connect those and integrate them into cool systems. So that's what I do. I build out the systems, connect the people, and here we are.
I love that. And to my surprise, and yet not surprise, I've been forgetting to introduce myself this whole week. For those who don't know, my specialty is what I call courageous connection. It is also why and how I question the know, like, and trust factor, which I did at Harvard in July. Oh my God. But I'm leaning into that because really I want to elevate the way that we tell our stories. It's not about the things that we did and the results that we got. It's about the emotional thread that connects all of those pieces together. So let's find out that old version of ourselves that we're now trying to help in other people. So we're going to start there.
I love that.
I'm going to ask you a hard question, Masha. As we bring up our first guest, I want you to think of a question that isn't, hi, Ani, what do you do? Like, think up something kind of crazy fun, and we're going to ask Ani. So, Ani, I'm bringing you up to stage. Welcome to stage.
Hello. Hi.
Did you hear what I asked Masha? She has to come up with a question.
I got it.
Great.
Ani, I have a question for you to start us off. So today you are a superhero. You are where you are doing what you're doing, you are amazing. So as a superhero, what is your backstory?
Ooh.
Wow, you got me stumbling.
Everybody's like, how do I prepare? And I'm like, just be you. And then we ask questions like this.
Right? And then how do you prepare? Because I didn't grow up with super stories, super power, super nothing.
Basically, we want to know, like, how did you get into this kind of work that you're in today? There's some sort of origin or backstory. There's a reason why.
Yeah.
That's really what we want to know.
Well, actually, now that you say, now I imagine myself. Okay, cool. Thanks for the kind of a push, Laura.
You're welcome.
Actually, my superpower, I would say, came about because of being like totally pissed off.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, being angry at people, being angry at the kind of like a medical community that doesn't empower, doesn't give people the tools, the kind of a pathway or beliefs that they have so much power that they can heal themselves, that they can live pain-free. That doesn't matter what age you are or what you have. If you look hard enough, you can find a solution. to your pain, whether it's me or someone else, doesn't matter. So yes, my superpower came from being pissed off. I'm going to go with that.
I'm going to celebrate with you just owning that. You're like, you know what? I was mad. We don't really talk about anger a whole lot. So thank you, because there is a healthier way to express that. And that's what you're doing through the work that you do. So,
Well,
Ani, what is it that is your superpower then?
Well, I'm a pain resolution practitioner, which means I help people, overcome whether it's chronic pain, acute pain, but I do it in so many different ways. If you're in my clinic, I would help you with manual therapy, very advanced, unique. As my last new client called me, the voodoo that you do. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to take that and I'm going to use that because that's awesome. But I also love teaching people self-help techniques because, imagine you wake up in the morning and you have like slept funny or whatever, and these techniques that boom, you can do it and overcome pain instead of just suffering all morning or the days.
Mm-hmm.
But I also incorporate functional nutrition and genetic testing because imagine knowing how your body reacts to your environment based on your specific genes that you got from your parents, the food you eat, the lifestyle choices you make, and you can create personalized plan based on that. It's not that's all you have to do based on your genes, but it's a foundational thing that we can create personalized plan that is unique as you are. It's your own thing. And it's just fun. It's like being a detective. Let's figure out how we can help you. Because if I get two people with exact same symptoms of pain, my approach or action steps to each of them is completely different. So there is no one plan fits all.
I love that. And I want to expand on the fact that another layer to your superpowers is that you do take the time to personalize. There are many businesses that are like, I'm just going to generalize because I can sell that and package that and promote it so easily. But really, the job of an entrepreneur is to not impart knowledge like it used to be. We can find that on the internet, basically anywhere. But you're going to help us understand that knowledge. So high five to you.
It's the why, what was it, yesterday or day before, when we were talking, when I was listening, you mentioned someone about finding your why. Is usually throughout the years, and I've been doing this almost 3 decades, and people like, oh, you need to systemize it and then sell it. I'm like, but yes, I understand, at one point, but every patient doesn't matter. Yes, you put in an intake form. This is what you have. This is your like MRI diagnosis or your blood works. You bring it to me. But I don't know exactly what I need to do until we talk. You may say one word or one sentence and this light bulb will go on. I'm like, oh,
yes,
that's what it's from. That's what I need to do. I don't know until I feel or I palpate or whatever. I don't know. So it makes it very personal, very unique.
Ani, I wanna jump into this because this is such an important topic, and there's a lot of conversation coming up to the surface now about the invisible illnesses, about how a person might look okay on the front, but then they're struggling with something chronic in the background that you might not even know about. So having had that experience myself over the last couple of years, I have found that going to the first thought is, I'll just go to the doctor and the doctor will help. The doctor will provide the solutions. The doctor will provide answers, and you go and they don't. And it took me a while to understand, even remotely, like why, like what's going on. Am I just crazy? Is this in my head? The whole, it's like the stages of grief is the same thing, I feel like. So in your from your experience, what is the point where that person has the aha moment of okay, maybe that is not the right direction for me to take to find a solution for my health situation? And when do they come to you?
So thanks for asking that question. Most of the time, the clients that I see in my clinic, they've already been to a doctor. They've already been to different practitioners. And even though they feel a little better, but it's something that, it's not a complete solution. They still have that little pain, or they just don't feel 100%. And I love that, not that they don't feel good, but a lot of times, especially the doctor, I mean, I love our medical system, because if you have acute anything, we are like one of the best. Unfortunately, our medical system treats acute and chronic with the same approach, which has to be completely different. Acute, yes, I broke my leg, or I have something, infection in my in whatever system, or gallbladder, whatever, they can take care of it. But if I have chronic something, autoimmune, something like systemic low grade inflammation, because there is like a gut issues or whatever, our medical system, you cannot just do one approach. Let me give you antibiotics and you'll be good. No, you have to look at from so many different angles. And that's, I love when you said, because sometimes when I do genetic testing on my clients, or look at their blood work, and you look at them outside, like I just did a couple of months ago, my client, who you look at her, you're like, oh my God, I want to look like her. Gorgeous, just beautiful, lives the healthiest lifestyle, has a private chef, has a personal trainer, has her Pilates instructor. I mean, I'm in LA, so it's not hard to get like Hollywood people. So, I mean, you look at her, but and then at the end, when I look at her genetics and I looked at her blood work, I was like, I'm like 3 of her size, and I've never had that bad blood work ever in my life. But and then it comes with like a genetics, like, oh, there was an explanation why her body was doing, like why her cholesterol was so high, even though she's like 120 pounds. But because there is an explanation, there is the aha moments, like, okay, now we know this, we can transfer it, we can take different approaches, not just to mask, put a band-aid on your symptoms, but find out deep down foundationally what changes we can make that would have the upstream trickling, reactions. It's like what you call in English, the, come on,
Ripple
Lola,
effect.
the ripple effect. Thank you. But there was this game you guys play.
Domino?
Dominoes.
Dominoes. That's it.
Mhm.
Sometimes I forget my English.
Nope, I do too. So it has nothing to do with a language barrier.
But yeah, it will have this domino effect. So looking a person as a whole, not just your neck hurts, let me work there. No. Like sometimes my clients say, that's not what it hurts. Like when I go work on, let's say their neck hurts, but I work somewhere else, but like, that's not where it hurts. I'm like, yeah, I know, but that's where your pain is coming from.
Exactly.
It's just looking underneath the surface. And that's what makes it so much fun. Because when the clients say, oh, I have a challenging case, I'm like, oh, this is so cool.
I know, it's so juicy. You're like, oh, I get to explore.
Totally. And that's such a learning. Like I learned from every client. So I love it.
Ooh, okay. That's going to be another one of your we're just going to pile on the superpowers today. So another one of your superpowers is the fact that you do like to explore, that you like a good challenge, that you don't see it as a wall. You're like, oh, this is an opportunity. And in my mind, I don't know a lot of people like that. Most of them are entrepreneurs because that's how the entrepreneurial mindset just works. But if you think of many people in your life, how many people are open to discovering versus just wanting to go, okay, I'm done, I give up?
Yeah, throughout the years, how we like evolve, we grow, and it comes. I love that saying where it say people come into your life for a reason, for a season, and for a lifetime.
Yes.
And we kind of sometimes outgrow even friends, not because we don't like them anymore. It's just our approach to life, our outlook to life is completely different. And so I'm fortunate enough that I've surrounded myself throughout the years with people that are similar, like they're better than me. So I want to be like them. So I learn from them. Or some, they look at me, they're like, oh, I want to be like you. I'm like, oh my God, this is like responsibility. So I have to be good.
Are you feeling called out, Masha? Do you remember us doing that a couple months ago?
Oh my gosh.
Audie, we had sent messages back and forth to each other going, oh, I love and admire you for this. I want to be like, grow up to be like you. And this, it was so funny.
The feeling is mutual.
Yeah. And it's fun. It's like I say, if I didn't have to work, I would just take so many classes. I just want to learn, different languages. And I want to just, learn different things. And I don't know. To me, that's what I love. It's fun.
Ooh, that'll be a great question for the audience too. If you could do anything in the world with the rest of your time, like what would you do? If you didn't have any worries of the house or the car or whatever, and just did whatever you're passionate about, what would it be?
Money is not an issue. Time is not an issue.
Exactly.
Free flow of anything. Yeah.
Would you keep doing the work that you do, Ani?
Oh, absolutely. Oh,
Yeah.
100%. That's one of the things, I can't imagine doing something that I didn't like. Like I see people around me, my sisters, she, like when she's like, oh, I hate my boss or I have to go to her. I'm like, how can you do that day after day? It doesn't matter, like I said, I've been doing this almost 30 years and it's always been, I say it's consistently inconsistent.
Yes.
But I love it. I can't imagine doing anything else. The only thing is, then it comes to a point like, okay, I have to either grow or you can't stay static. So what is the growth? And for all of us is different. Like for me, just before COVID happened, I'm like, thank the universe, because December of 2019, I decided to close my clinic and move across the street and just rent a room from a doctor's office and just work 3 days a week so I can concentrate on creating an online course or doing stuff online, because my ultimate goal is to be able to travel and just be able to work, do webinars or online courses, teaching, speaking, so I can do all that. And so it's like, okay, that's my future growth. That's what I'm looking forward to. For some, it could be, making their practice bigger, bringing other people to work for them. That's just not for me. I've tried that. I did that. No, I'm more of I want to just pack my bags and rent an apartment in Tuscany and book a cooking tour and learn how to make this amazing food and drink wine. And I can carve out an hour or two a day to do webinar and teach and go speak somewhere. And just, hire some hunky Italian to teach me Italian and to be like what's the movie, Under the Tuscan Sun?
Honey, you got us over here watching and needing a vacation. We're like, whoa, let's go.
Tuscany is my dream vacation. And like, if you looked around, okay, I'm packing, half the things are off my wall. But if you did look around my house a couple months ago, you'd see images of Tuscany and the woods, the warm woods, the dark woods, the earthy colors.
Oh, I love it.
Right? Like the slightly purplish red. That's just, yeah.
Yeah, Italy and south of France just have the warmest place. I love it. And I've traveled all these little towns and just hanging out with locals, and I love it. To me, that's life. It's not about how big your house is. It's not about, how expensive your car is. No, to me, it's like what I've been, what experiences, what I saw. And it's just, I love it. Bless you. Oh, in Armenia, when I'm saying something and you sneeze, we say, I'm saying the truth. Like, that's the truth. Thank you. Thank you.
I did that once earlier this week. In my head, my daughter always makes fun of me. She's like, these are so cute. And then she'll come and she'll try to wiggle my nose. So every time I do it, I play that video of her coming from wherever she is in the house, going, oh, it's just so cute. Yeah, that's my daughter.
Aw.
So Ani, you had mentioned that you were liking speaking. And I know that you're part of Blue Talks now and that you get to be in a book. Like, why have you chosen these kinds of ways to share your message?
Like I said, I have so much passion to helping people get out of pain. And yes, I do that working with my clients in my office or helping them, over Zoom. But I want to reach to larger audience. I want to not just be in LA or in US. I want to be able to just teach people because, it was interesting. One time I was at this webinar and there were about 23 people there. And I was just doing a survey. Out of the 23 people, 33% of them, and these are the ones spoke out, live with chronic pain. 33% out of 23 people.
Wow.
And like I said, these are the ones actually came out and just said that they're living with chronic pain. Imagine how many don't say it.
Yeah.
So, all these people like living with chronic pain, if I can teach like one technique or tell you something or give you some suggestion, that one little thing you change in your lifestyle choices and that makes a difference in your life, I love that. I just love that.
Both my parents have fibromyalgia, also some other issues on top of that, but that's the big one. My husband lives with chronic pain. I did at one point for 3 years after my accident. And after about the first year, it stopped being actually physical. For me, what was left of my chronic pain was actually emotional. So I was just bringing it up and bringing it up and bringing it up. And so it forced my body into the tension, which
Yeah,
still felt like the exact same pain. And
absolutely.
I think I tried over 50 different modalities to try to just do anything for this. And it was once I realized that it was my mind doing it and then the inflammation on top of it. But my mind first, I went, oh, and I
Yeah,
changed that relationship to it, which was huge.
your
My
mind.
husband, on the other hand, is not that. His is very much physical, and same with my parents. That's a mix
Yeah,
of the two. So I get this whole very individual approach.
yeah. And like I said, when it comes to chronic pain, your approach has to be very,
Yes.
from just looking at different angles. And sometimes we have practitioners like others, like acupuncturists will send me a client. And then, I will say, okay, these are my findings. Or the doctors, I would like whatever, if I'm doing the genetic testing, I would say, okay, ask your doctor to run this test because this is what showed up. Or, we just kind of work together because this one person, that's why I love collaborating with other doctors because it's not about, oh, competition or me stealing your client or you're stealing my client. No, it's about the ultimate goal is helping that person.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter who does.
Yeah.
If my client I send to someone else, then they feel like the other person is helping them more. Please go because next time when something happens, you're going to send someone else to me for what my strengths are.
Exactly.
And so I don't look at it, oh, competition, I'm not going to refer you. Other massage therapists refer me clients. My clients have their own massage therapists because I do not do massage, but I do specifically pain, very unique techniques.
So,
So
Annie, that brings us to a really good question. Then, what are your specific? What are the favorite clients that you work with? What are some of the the differentiating factors to why somebody would go specifically to you and seek you out?
well, like I said, a lot of times people come to me because they've already been to different doctors and practitioners. So I love, love, love working with neck pain because a lot of times, like I've seen in my office, like over 85, 90% of the clients with neck pain is due to their jaw, tight jaw, because they clench, they grind, tight tongue. They're like, my tongue is tight. Like, yes. So I put gloves on, go inside their mouth. I would release the jaw muscles. I would release the tongue muscles. and without even like doing anything for their neck yet. And all of a sudden, they're like, my face feels so relaxed. Like, it's like, huh. And that I love that stuff. And that's what like my online course is on, because those are like the techniques that I can actually teach them, self-help techniques. Like one day, a client of mine, I was in San Diego at the seminar, and client of mine texts me. She's like, we're driving in Midwest and my daughter woke up and she cannot turn her neck. Is there anything you can do? I'm like, well, I can sneak out of my seminar. Can you get on a video call with me? So we got on video call. I walked her daughter through a couple of techniques, and her neck, like right away, you could see 50% increased range of motion. And I was like, how cool is that? Like I helped her, because now she's not going to be, they're on vacation, they're driving. Imagine the daughters. I mean, I don't have kids, but imagine daughter is like constantly, oh, I'm in pain. Like she's not going to have fun. And that's going to affect everyone else's mood or what they're going to do. So that's why I love like teaching people techniques so they can use it whenever, either as a maintenance tool or as a preventative tool. It's like having this whole arsenal.
Okay, so then this would be really fun and interactive, since I decided this is a more interactive day. Can you give us one kind of technique? It's very simple that we could do in like a minute or so.
Oh, absolutely.
That the audience can also do with us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I want you to do is just take a couple of two fingers or three fingers and go and just kind of palpate like on your jaw, up and down. Do you feel any, we call it like crepitus or tightness? And then also pay attention. Do you feel the difference between right and left? Is one side tighter than the other?
Yes.
Okay, so have that in mind, okay? Now, all I want you to do, you're going to take your thumb behind your mandible. When you put behind the bone, there's like a little soft, hollow spot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you keep your thumb there. Now, all you're going to do, keep your head neutral, because a lot of times when I teach people, they end up doing this. It's like, no, just keep your head neutral, keep your thumb there. All you're going to do, push your tongue, tip of your tongue, to the roof of your mouth and feel what happens under your fingers. It becomes rubbery, thicker, right? And just keep it right there for about 30 seconds, 20 to 30 seconds. Just do that. Push your tongue, give just like a tiny, tiny little push here. And hold for another about 15 seconds. Almost there. Okay, you can let go. Now go back and check this again.
My tongue feels funny.
I felt that in my neck.
Oh, wow.
Do you feel the difference?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That is
cool. Every time. So that's just one of the techniques. What it does, it relaxes your muscles of mastication, your chewing muscles, like your masseter, your temporalis muscles. It relaxes that.
Wow.
Yeah, that's just one technique. There's like so many different techniques. But okay, just one more thing. Again, very quick. Next time you feel like, what happens when a stress comes on? A lot of times people start breathing shallow, right? Chest breathing, their neck tightens, everything cramps up here.
Yeah.
So whenever you feel stress coming on, all you do is turn your head, whichever the direction of your dominant hand is. So if you're right-handed, turn your head to the right. If you're left-handed, turn your head to the left. Try to drop your shoulders. And now you can do the same technique, what I just taught you, this, or you can just collect some saliva in your mouth, hold it for about 10 seconds, and swallow. And then come back. So a couple of things happens when you turn your head to whatever your dominant side is. It breaks the pattern of this tightening up. That's first. See, you're yawning. That's a sign of release.
Yeah, my body yawns to process.
Me too.
Yeah.
I did that too. So the second thing, when you swallow, the action of swallowing, you have the vagus nerve, which is your 10th cranial nerve. When you stimulate that nerve, it activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is very calming, relaxing. So the function of swallowing, it stimulates your vagus nerve.
Oh, yes.
And it calms it down. Since I taught that technique to one of my clients, she's like, Ani, since then, whenever I'm in a stressful situation, my neck never tightens up or jaw, I don't clench anymore.
Nice.
Wow.
So yeah, try it.
Yeah, Masha caught me earlier. One of the things that I do is I do work with my vagus nerve. I learned that as a part of this whole 50 different modalities. I came up with my own system, which I can tell you all about behind the scenes because it's a little
I'd love to.
intense. But one of them is I love to sing power vocals because it forces me to do a little bit more of the diaphragmatic breathing. It also works those neck muscles at the same time. And because the different notes, like I'll go as high as I can and as low as I can so that I get that full range of just muscle.
Yeah. Even like, singing, gargling, splashing cold water, humming, all those stimulate your vagus nerve.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Really cool. Yeah. I just did a workshop with this Yoga for Life company. And our concentration was on diaphragm, vagus nerve, and phrenic nerve, which most people don't even talk about or know what it is.
Is that the one on your neck?
Phrenic nerve starts on your neck.
Yeah.
It's both sides, goes all the way down and innervates in your diaphragm, and it controls your diaphragm. So every time, like if you ever had a hiccup, that's a phrenic nerve irritation. Or if you ever, like if you were a runner or if you run, sometimes you get that stitch on the side of, that's a phrenic nerve irritation. But no one ever talks about it. And it controls, your breathing. It can affect your, diaphragm, how it functions. Because most of the time people talk about the vagus nerve. It's like, no, when it comes to breathing, your phrenic nerve is so important.
Okay, then you are probably the perfect person to ask this question because I can't tell you how many people I've asked. I get this thing, and if you go back through the videos, you'll see me doing it. All of a sudden, like I have a heart murmur, but all of a sudden my body will gasp. So I'll just, in the middle of conversation, go, and that's about it. But it happens a lot. And of course, the more anxious I am, the more it happens, the quicker all of that. Why does it do that?
It's, somewhat it has to do with your vagus nerve.
Okay.
Because, you have heart murmur, but that shouldn't cause any of that. But whenever you're anxious, your vagus nerve reflects your heart rate. It reflects your breathing, your digestion. Yeah. Because, it's called the wandering nerve. It's the longest cranial nerve, the longest cranial nerve that starts from your brain stem and then goes down to your heart. Actually, it goes down behind your ear.
Yeah.
So if you massage behind your ears, or sometimes I'll tell a client to put their middle fingers into just like inside the ear. Yeah.
There.
Put it right there.
Yeah.
That would also stimulate, or in my office, sometimes I put a vibrator right behind the ears to stimulate the vagus nerve.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. One thing you can do, okay, this is like really quick. I'm going to teach you how to release your diaphragm. And if you can do that before you get on any talks or anything, try that. You can do it sitting down, laying down, standing up, doesn't matter. And you always do both sides. Okay. Very simple. So you turn your head, doesn't matter which side you start off with. You turn your head to one side. Let's say I'm turning to the right side. Your left arm, without tilting your body to the side, your left arm, you're like reaching down towards the floor.
Oh.
And then you're going to do very deep belly coughing, about 4 or 5, like this. Don't do like it has to be from diaphragm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you turn your head to the opposite side.
Mm-hmm.
So it's left side now, right arm reaches down, and you go cough, cough, cough about 4 or 5 times, like, that's it. That releases your diaphragm. So in the office, when I have clients, when I like palpate, because your diaphragm attaches to your rib cage, 6 to 12 ribs. So I
Yeah.
will palpate about 6 to 9 ribs, and they're like, withdraw, or they're like, oh, no, 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 I'm ticklish. This is awful.
Perfect.
Sometimes I do the technique, or I walk them through a technique, and then I go back palpate. They're like, did you touch the same spot? Or did you use the same pressure? Kids love it because they're like, I'm not ticklish anymore. So that releases the diaphragm. So try that.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. I am going to try that a few times. And it's funny because now I have like this tingly feeling, but
Oh,
it's more like an excited tingly.
exactly, that's normal.
Is it? Ah,
Sometimes with these techniques, you can get lightheaded because now we're working with your central nervous system level. That's where we work. It's not a muscular level. It's not like structural. We're working with the central nervous system
Mhm.
level.
Yeah.
And some of these techniques actually rebalances your efferent afferent communication with your brain. So yeah, sometimes the clients, they're like, I'm a little lightheaded. I'm like, yeah, that's totally normal. It will go away. But
I
yeah.
love that. Thank you so much. Ah,
Well,
you're like the only answer ever. Ah,
And I mean, oh my gosh, that was so cool. It's so cool to watch you in action too. I feel like we have during interviews, you don't get often an opportunity to do that, to see the person actually like leading us through exercises.
yeah.
And I have a question. So we're
mhm.
talking about amplifying your message, and there's something that you said that kind of caught my attention. You said, you love working one-on-one with clients, and then at the same time, you want to amplify your message. You want to put your message out there. You want to reach more people. So if you could yell something from a rooftop, if you can have everybody know one thing, what would that be? What is the most important thing that you would love all of your clients and potential clients to know, and all people in general?
And I love that question because one of the biggest things is never learn to live with pain.
Ooh.
I don't care. Sometimes people come to me, it's like, my doctor said that's normal for your age. I'm like, no, nothing is normal. I don't care what age you are. Just never learn to live with pain. They're like, I've tried everything. No, you didn't. You've tried a couple of things, and yes, maybe they didn't work, but find someone that will be able to help you. And there is someone that can help you. Maybe it's not me, maybe it's someone else, but never learn to live with pain. That's my like biggest thing.
Amazing.
I love that part of, but people are telling me it's normal. Just because it's normal doesn't make it okay.
And what's normal? Who says what's normal?
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
know, like I'm Armenian. I grew up in a culture of you're a girl, you have to get married, have children, very male dominant culture. I didn't grow up in that family. My dad is Egyptian Armenian, so mostly, women in our family in the 70s, they were smoking, they would wear pants. In Armenia, my dad would wear shorts, and they would make fun of him, like, can't you afford to buy long pants, man? But it's like very different. But I grew up in that type of family, but I don't know. Like to me, it's whatever whatever I think it's normal for me, that's what I'm going to do. And if it doesn't look normal to you, it's totally okay. There is no guidelines to follow what's normal. No.
I love that. I'll make my own normal.
That's
Exactly.
right.
You do what's normal for you.
Okay, I want to know one thing before we ask you how we get in contact with you. You're out there. You're sharing your message. It's so important to you, as Masha said. You want to shout it from the rooftops. I want to know what your most uncomfortable form has been of sharing your message, but you did it anyway.
Okay, I have a story. So quick.
Okay.
I came from Armenia, born and raised the former Soviet Union. English wasn't one of my languages. It was Armenian, Russian. My school was French. In our family, Arabic, Turkish. Even though my dad spoke English, but I didn't know any when I moved to America, and I was 20. I moved in January '92, and then February I turned 22. So my early 20s is like a kind of like a gaze. I don't even remember that much because I had to learn new language, new culture. So I'm going to school to learn ESL, English as a second language, but I also had to take speech class. So the teacher says, well, we need to prepare for our first speech, and it's about cult. I'm like, oh, cult. I grew up, my grandma was a very like well-known seamstress in Egypt. And I grew up making my own dresses, my own skirts. I'm like, cool, that would be so cool. I can make it like really fancy, plaited, color, whatever. The 2 days before our presentation, my classmate calls me. She goes, what cult you're going to do your presentation on? I'm like, no, it's cult. She goes, no, cult. I'm like, what's a cult? I grew up in Army. I have no clue what cult is. She's like, cult. And then she tells me, I'm like, oh, I knew nothing about it. So I rushed to, it's early 90s. I rushed to the library. I'm getting book on what the heck is cult. So when I got up to do my first presentation, I swear I could feel my knees knocking against each other. Like I was sweating. My heart was like, I could see that moving. My knees were knocking against. Horrible. I never forget that was my very first presentation ever in my life. But now sometimes I go to networking events and people like, oh, our presenters didn't show up. Can you do something? I'm like, oh yeah, no problem.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear.
I know. It's like I've came long way, but yeah, that was cult. Now I never forget what cult is.
You're making me want to make a coat, though. My mom was a seamstress too, and she used to work at a bridal shop. So I grew up making my own clothes as well because I didn't like things in the shops.
Until now, like I have my awesome sewing machine. I used to knit my sweaters, and I even like used to crochet. My grandma taught me how to crochet.
Mhm.
But sometimes, like when I buy sometimes skirts or pants or whatever now, like I can do alterations. I
Yeah.
can like make it like different, little fancy.
Mhm.
So it's fun to know.
It
Yeah.
is. So then, Ani, how do we reach you? How do we get a hold of you?
So the best place would be my website, which
Mhm.
is Last Stop for Pain, and 4 is a numeric 4. Yeah, there I have some resources people can download or book a complimentary session with me. Definitely, if they have any questions, I'll be happy to help.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank
Awesome.
you. This was great, and you
You're
made
welcome.
now I have this like all hyped up and great,
The
start
plan.
of the day. So we'll do the same thing tomorrow morning, okay?
Well, if it's
I'm in.
earlier than the live, then yes, I would totally have a conversation with you. I do love being in your presence, and for the short time that I've
Well,
known you, it's been a blast.
Laura, you started me on this. You're the one. I don't even remember how we met.
I think it was LinkedIn.
It was, I think, LinkedIn. Jen Empowers, I think, networking event.
Oh, yes.
Jane Powers, a networking event,
Yeah.
and somehow we just kind of connected. And you told me you invited me to the first Blue Talks, and then this last time I'm like, okay, this is where I want to be. So thank you.
It's
When
so
I'm like speaking on these amazing stages and my books are out there, it's going to be thanks to you
Oh, I
because you
can't wait. I can't wait.
got me started.
Yes. Thank you so much, Ani. It's always delight. I want to say goodbye, but not forever.
Thank you so much. You guys, ladies, have an awesome day.
You too.
And if you try those techniques, I would love to hear any results.
Mhm.
Honey, thank you so much.
Thanks. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Ooh, okay, and we're on time. I love being on time. It's like,
Yes.
sweet. We do have another guest coming up. We have guests all afternoon. So this is guest number 2 of 4. Her name is Marquita. Marquita, give me thumbs up if you're ready. That's okay. We're going to bring her up to stage. Oh, she just left. I guess she can't hear. She'll be back. That's fine. Our next guest is Marquita. How did you feel about that last interview? Was it good?
That was amazing. I feel like the breathing techniques, the coughing techniques, all of a sudden, I feel like I woke up and I had like the tension here. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is great. And I can breathe.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're going to try it again. Marquita, can you hear me? Maybe? We're going to try it. Let's try it. How about now? Hi, Marquita.
Hello, hello. Check, check.
Hello.
Oh, yay! We can hear
Hello.
I
you.
can't hear you.
Did she say she can't?
No, I can't hear you.
Oh,
Maybe
no.
if I have a headset on here.
Oh, maybe. Yes, we have lots of good mornings in the chat. Hello, hello.
Let's see
Happy
what's happening.
Thursday.
Hold on one second. Yes, I cannot hear you.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
no. Mhm.
Yes.
There you go. I've got good sound happening. Let me see.
All right.
Maybe I need a headset in here.
I was like, maybe if she just told a story. I don't know. Woo.
Hello?
Hi.
No, can't hear you at all. Can you hear me?
Mhm.
Okay.
Let's see. Edit mic settings? No.
Can't hear you at all. I'm so sorry.
Hello.
It happens. Gotta love the lives. You know
I'm
what?
loving the
I have
comment.
no idea.
Hi, Masha. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
What can I say? I cannot hear anything you're saying, but you can hear me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. And I just put in a headset. Okay.
Dr. Keith says check the app for mic and speakers on.
It's on.
I'm wondering, Lori, can you text Marquita? Maybe
I
sometimes
can read this, yes.
Awesome.
Remotely adjust mic volume. Okay. So, Masha, what's probably going to happen is I might have to ask her questions behind the scene. So I'm going to try to type it in the private chat, and then we'll get.
You're going to type in
About,
questions. Well, that's good. Okay.
we'll make it work.
Okay, there you go. I will talk about myself. I am a singer, a vocal coach. I just love to teach. I used to be a runner. I rescue animals, and I have 5 cats and 1 doggy. He's right there. He hates the rain, so we went out real quick, came back in, and here we are. I also saw, Laura, when you did the talk with Elisa.
Oh.
I'm forgetting the last name, but I loved the fact that you mentioned the camel in the Bible.
Yes.
Going through the eye. It was a great, maybe you can talk about that here right now. But I've been singing for decades, and I've been teaching for decades also. And it's, I think the whole thing is doing what you love. And that started very early when I was a kid. At 2, I was just, well, maybe it was later than 2. I was outside on a rocker. I'd be rocking, I'd singing. I'd say, do you want to hear me sing? And before they could say anything, I'm singing for them. So it was very early in life. And what about, let's see. Also, my mother was taking singing lessons when she carried me. My name is after a waltz. Marquita, Marquita, I still hear you calling. Marquita, Marquita, my love. Oh, yeah. So I got to tell you, this should be very interesting. This is my first interview, and we shall see just how wonderful we can be without me hearing you. I'm glad you can hear me, though, because that means the people outside can hear me, you know, that are watching this, which is really good. So what got me into singing? You know, I think God did. I think he just like placed it in, and I took it out and decided to do it. My parents were both in show business. So my father was a piano player. My mother was a dancer. And so the most usual thing to do was to be in show business. At least for me. Yes, there it is. It is the ta-da. And from very early on, it was just something. It was a love. It was something that I really wanted to do. And my father saw that in me. And then he decided he was going to be my manager, my agent.
Oh, wow.
Very little the father. I have the story right here in my book. And very early on, he saw how, you know, spastic I was. I could see everything around me, but focusing was really, really hard. Can you relate?
Yes, very much so.
Yes. And so he did not have all the patience in the world. He was on his own from 13. His mother died. So he was out in the world on his own. And his father, my grandfather, had remarried, and the lady did not want them. So it was two brothers. So they were out on the street in San Antonio, Texas. And for a week, they didn't eat. I didn't even know that. He didn't even eat for a week. So he had that sense of, you know, working the hard way, doing things tough. And so he saw in me that he needed to center me, you know, and I was the one that was going to make it for the family. I was like, the talent was there. And so it was just, I wasn't that focused. So that started me on the road. What can I say? And I was at the 500 Club in Atlantic City, and this was during the Frank Sinatra era. And so Mr. Skinny, I called him Mr. Skinny D'Amata, owned the 500 Club in Atlantic City, and that's where the Rat Pack went. So the Rat Pack was Frank Sinatra, let's see, Sammy Davis Jr. They go, who are these people?
Oh, no, you're good.
You know,
Oh,
you are good. Marcia, Laura, you are great girls. Okay. And so I would go there and be on the show, and Mr. Skinny he went, okay. And my father he knew how to talk to people, you know, and be the agent. Okay. And so Mr. Skinny said, we got to change your name. And so because he knew Frank Sinatra was with Mia Farrow at that time, they called me Mia Morell. So my stage name when I was a teenager was Mia Morell. And I lived in Philadelphia, and we went to Atlantic City, and I did all these little venues, paid $25 to get up and do a show. And my father would write the arrangements, and my mother was the tap dancer on the show. Oh. So I would go, we'd get in the car, and I got to tell you, in the book, like in the very beginning, I explained this, we piled into the car, and I was very, very quiet. But all these people loved what they did. It was a job. It wasn't like making it for show business. It was like, let's go to the gig. We're making a living. And so, you know, it was great because there was Nat Ray. She was like a comedian. She was like that. She was like really amazing. And she'd have her hair like this in pigtails going up like that. And there was a xylophone player. But these were all like just regular people doing a job. And I'm in the car, very quiet. But when I got on stage, I was like this. You know, I was so happy.
Stage. Yes.
Yes, Laura, you know what I mean, because
I'm
you're
very
both
familiar.
doing what you love. You both are, you're expressing yourself here, right? Because I remember listening to you, Laura,
Mhm.
and instead of Laura Lake, it's like I say Laura Love.
Yes.
And Marcia, I remember you with all the plants, and when we were on the boot camp with Corey. How do you pronounce Corey's last name?
Or
I know what it looks like.
Poirier, yeah.
Poirier.
A.
Poirier. Poirier. Ah, oh, je ne parle français. Poirier. Okay, great. Well, Corey's boot camp was great. And that's where I met both of you.
Mhm.
And so I remember that. That was wonderful.
Mhm.
So I digress, but I had to say that because, I figured maybe you'll say something. I'm like just talking like mad through this, but I hope it's okay. This is the first podcast. Okay. So in case I didn't say that.
Do you have a message behind your singing?
So how do you use your voice and your talent today?
Mhm.
So I was moving along in my career. I was with the William Morris agency, the top agency in New York.
Yeah.
But when I was at home, there was a lot of abuse. My father, he needed to take charge and take over. And so there was, mental, physical, beatings. And I was told I was nothing. I was nothing without him. And that I'll always lose my voice because I was always getting hoarse because I was screaming inside. So I'd be happy on stage, but very unhappy inside. I left home at 19. I went to New York. My career started going down, and I came to LA in, let me see, was it in the 70s? Okay. And at that time, I had always done shows. So then I did the casuals, the one-nighters you go to.
Oh, yeah.
I did that. They weren't shows, they were like sets. And then as I was working here, before I left Philadelphia, someone said, they wanted me to teach them. They said, "Oh, I love how you're singing. Can you teach me?" Started teaching, and they said, "You should write a book." So I started writing then, yes. And then when I came to LA, you get busy doing this, you do that. And it was decades. I remember what Lisa had said is that it took her a decade, and then she finally, she found herself, and she did write that book. Well, it took me decades.
Yeah.
And so here I wrote the book, and it's because I did do a course. So, you have to know, I know there's a lot of people here who are, they're writing courses, they want to do podcasts. Well, I went to a course by Darren Hardy, and it's called Insane Productivity. And because I did that, I fulfilled myself in these recent years. It was just recently that I wrote my book.
Yep.
And it's back here.
Show
and I
us.
have a copy. It's called I Will Not Grow Weary. And that's a picture of me when I was 20. There she goes. And she looks good, but she wasn't as happy as I am now. So this was in, I think we had the release party in 2019. So I've been teaching, and the way that I use my teaching and singing is that I can use what I went through as a teenager. So all those teenage years, all the unhappiness, in the book it says, and now I'm telling you that I got help. I came from victimhood, being a victim, to being happy, thriving. And so when I teach, I can look at a person and I can tell. They open their mouth, I know what's going on because I'm a singer. I'm an artist. It's not like I learned something in school and now I'm teaching. I went through pain. So when I see you. When I see a person come in, and with women coming in, I almost lost my house because of my rescuing an animal. You know, it was a pit bull and had me. I was like, there's the stories in the book. I mean, there's so many stories, you know. When I thought about what to say here, I said, oh my gosh, I've got so many stories. And that's the wonderful thing with being 75. With being 75. Yes, it is so wonderful because if you have worked at being better, at the power that I ask God for is wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. You know, yeah, I'd like a little money too, okay?
Wouldn't we all?
Oh, yeah. So that's the whole thing. It's that wisdom that you get. And I say, don't say older, say elder. That's it. You're an elder. So if anybody is past a certain age, you think, oh, I'm old. It's like, oh, shut up. Honey, you're an elder, and give that wisdom. And that's what I do with the students. And a lot of times now, like there's a one that's coming to me and she's not following her career, singing great. And we sit down for an accountability meeting. And I talk over what you need to do. And I can say, look, I did this and I'm doing this now. I'm more excited now. This isn't who I was. That isn't who she was. She was sick, honey. She was unhappy. But me now, I'm bubbling over. I'm doing a course on singing with Anu. He's my sweetheart. He's my partner, spiritual son, amazing producer, director, guitar player, actor. I mean, he's 2nd degree black belt.
Ooh, fun.
You know, so you start attracting people who are like-minded, right? Mm-hmm. The more you are working your stuff, working through your stuff, your past, your injuries, your cuts, your bruises, your wounds, and you make them come through to health, getting help, you know, doing counseling. And if you're going for that wonderful opportunity, being an entrepreneur, a writer, whatever it is, wanting to do a podcast, and you go through courses, you get help and you get all this knowledge, and now you give it out, but you attract these wonderful people. Yes, I'm attracting you guys. There you go. So,
yeah,
asking for help
can be so difficult.
Mm-hmm. What made you decide to finally say it out loud? Yeah. You know what? Even in the boot camp, I started crying because I didn't love myself. Mm-hmm. And that's the whole thing. I felt so unworthy. I wasn't worthy of anything because I was told I was nothing. I believe that. And, you know, when it's somebody like your dad, it's like you want to live up. Oh, here's my kitty. Here's one of my kitties. This is Rocky Balboa. Gorgeous. Rocky, say hello.
Hi,
Rocky. Oh, look, he's Rocky so Balboa. He said, you know, you got to take care of me. It's one of those things where if you don't get that healing, you live the wound.
Yeah.
And if you live the wound, you never reach your potential. And I was determined to find out why. I left home and I'd be on a date and go, I don't know why did that happen? They finally wanted to take me home. It's like, oh, good Lord. But I was so eager to know why, what happened, why. And I played the victim and I said, I can't do this. I won't. And so it's not until the later years. And God forced my hand. It was, I don't want to go to counseling. I don't want to go to counseling. Okay, I finally gave in. Mm-hmm. And it was the most wonderful thing. It was terrible going through it. And sometimes you're going to want to quit. You're going to want to not go through. You're going to say, this is too devastating. Because when you open up the wound, it's like
yes,
pus coming out.
Burns.
It's like it's the wounds coming up, but you have to take it. And I know Lisa mentioned this. I just love the interview. You know that now you bring yourself up to present day, but you aren't there. That wound, and you're back to that age. So I had to go back to it started then, the abuse. 4. I had to visit 6. I had to visit this one, that one. Finally, they're all together going, let's go have fun. But in the interim of doing that, it's easy to quit. It's easy to say no, because it's comfortable when you're a victim. It's everybody else's fault.
Yes.
It's comfortable because you know it, right? You know that. But be daring. We're all full of fear. All of this locking down and oh my gosh, and there's so much fear going, and fear kills. And that's just, we as human beings cannot let the human race be so fearful, because the species dies. So we must be wanting that fervor, that love. And all the people that are in the boot camp that came through and are following through with bLU Talk. Okay, a little plug there. Yes, are moving on, and they're trying, they're working, they're going forth. So that's what caused me I did the course. I bit the bullet. I paid the price. And when you pay for something, you do it, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. How do you overcome?
How do you overcome those days? Yes. The way I overcame them was by being brave. I did running, and running showed me that I follow things through. I didn't believe in myself. I didn't love myself. I didn't like who I was. I wanted to change things. So it's that decision. You can, like an alcoholic, or like somebody who has a bad habit, or overeating, or whatever it is, being toxic in any way. First, you say, yeah, I got to change this. You decide to change. That's all well and good. But you know what? Did you follow through? It's all in the follow through.
Yeah.
It's whether or not you decided to actually do the action. A lot of people, I'm praying, oh, God, help me. It's like, yeah, let him help you. And now what are you going to do? I used to go counsel boys in camps. They were my little felons. It was like minimum security. And I go, me and Jesus, strength. But it's me and Jesus. You can't just go to your higher power, whatever it is. You have to take the action.
Yeah, we'd like to help people help themselves.
We have to be brave. We have to not have fear anymore. We have to go forth in whatever it is, being a mom, being a dad, being an entrepreneur, being a writer, going to do a podcast with so many people. When we were in our meeting yesterday, they haven't done a podcast yet. And even with no sound here, it's like, keep going.
We got it going.
Don't just sit there and look at the problem. You have to work the solution. Mm-hmm. So look at how nice you are. You're working the solution and you say, oh, let's just shut her down because, No.
Amazing.
Thank you. So
how powerful is learning how to use your voice for entrepreneurs? Yes. And, using your voice, it's in many ways, a lot of times, like when you're doing your speaking. So for everyone who's doing the podcast or wanting to go forth with speaking, listen to this now. Oh, so yes, I know how it is. And yes, and this is the way I'm going to go. And, really, so all of those guttural sounds at the end, you have to watch out that your sound, it's a natural thing though. You're talking down, and you end the sentence down, or you're busy getting the sentence out and you forget to breathe. And breathing is the life source. Think of it as the oil to your voice. Woohoo! We need oil. So that's the lubricant to allow the voice to ride. Yes. So as you're thinking of speaking, before you speak, do a lot of breathing, and I tell people backstage, because we did shows here. We were doing, my students and I did shows, and I sing today. I have videos on. I've written songs. This is in this later part because of health, because of selecting to do the work and not live the fear and not live the wound. Right, girls?
Seeing, not seeing.
Same. Yes, Marcia. Yeah. Okay. Oh, how wonderful. Okay. So also with the voice, when you're on stage, to remember to breathe through and take that moment, give that space between. And when you're backstage, image the audience loving you, just loving what you do. They want you to succeed. They don't want to have a bad time, right?
Yeah.
It's so true. Okay. Can I take a short breathing technique? So when I tell people to relax and, not worry so much, you breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. So you want to breathe in through the nose, breathe love in, breathe fear out. And when you are thinking that the voice isn't going to work for you, because a lot of times you feel caught, you feel like maybe you had a cold, or, you just feel like, oh my gosh, I got to go on stage. I'm going to go in front of people. I'm going to speak, or, I have a podcast. And what am I going to do? Well, breathe in through the nose. And as you breathe out through the mouth, see the vocal folds. They're like a V laying down. They're right here in back of the thyroid cartilage. So they're right here like a V laying down. They swing together to make sound. And so what you do is think of them being very soothed by the air passing between them. And they're relaxing. And they're not holding tension because you're dealing with muscles, nerve endings, cartilages, and the vocal folds are ligaments. So everybody's talking. So if you feel fear, if you feel tension, it goes to your voice, right?
Yes. Oh
Doesn't
my God.
It goes, yes. Where else does it have to go? Could you go somewhere else? No, it has to go to our voice.
So like my finger instead of here.
So what you have to do is relax the vocal folds, and then you can tense here and relax the top part of your body because you're all connected. The thyroid cartilage, the hyoid bone is above it, and there's a space, and the hyoid bone, it's connected all here. Okay, so the jaw muscles can be tensed also. So as you do that breathing, think of relaxing the jaw. Right here, you can be tight. So you massage the sides of the joint. And just remember that the tongue also is attached all the way down to this hyoid bone here. So just allowing it to lay down. So just that one can go into many sides. And I think it's really just relaxing this whole part, relaxing the neck. Yes. So breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth is just one short thing that I think is just so important.
Does it say
okay.
Speaking came naturally? Oh.
So is it safe to say speaking came naturally to you? Not speaking, because I was silent. I had left home when I was 17. I didn't speak very much until I was 19, about a year and a half.
Okay.
I didn't speak. I could sing. Drop of the hat, I'll sing.
Okay.
But speaking to people, communicating to others, I didn't know how to have friends because I didn't have, it's shame when you have problems or beatings. I had one friend, and there was, we went down to a store. I didn't say anything to anyone. My father came and dragged me down the street and then beat me on the front lawn. No friends. I didn't know how to connect with people. And so I withdrew quite a bit. So even though you see me like this, like going like, I'm an introvert, truly. And there's so many speakers who are, but I'm learning because as of recent, this is just like you said, what's happening now with all of the healing. And then, actually learning from other people, because there was this wall for learning also, and trusting and let other people tell me things. I had the defense up. So I started speaking more and started just blossoming more and coming out. So now when I wrote the book, at first, it was like Lisa had said, having your words come out and then speaking it out to the air, talking it out and actually speaking. And then practicing recording. We were just doing it last week, recording and filming the course. And I'm speaking out my words. And so it's just a gradual thing of believing in yourself, being brave enough to actually act on that, being brave, speaking it out, recording yourself. Heidi had said, okay, record yourself, and listen back. And so it was like, oh, really? Duh, and so, yes, in the shows, I wouldn't speak very much. I'd be just singing one to the other. But now I was practicing a new show, and it was like, what's the dialogue, Marquita? And so every time I did the show, it's the singing, I would speak my part. So practicing speaking, I practiced it and I got braver. And so now it's like it's coming more natural, but it's only of recent, really. It's only of recent. Now I have my students learn it too, but it was like, okay, what are you going to do? Because it's so easy to help someone else, but to actually do the work yourself and help yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I was hiding.
Yep.
Yeah, I was hiding. One of our listeners wants to know if you practice these techniques in front of the mirror. My gosh. Yes. In the course, I have that right in the beginning saying, use a mirror. And I go, oh, I know what you're going to say. Not me. No, I'm not using a mirror. What? Oh my gosh, my hair. Today it rained and I'm looking at this. So I didn't go blow dry it. I just said, here it is, because it goes frizzy anyway. And I said, this is the way it looks, honey.
Yep.
And you may look in the mirror and see every nuance. I see wrinkles and I go, oh my gosh. And what? Yeah. And the hair, I got white hair. I said, I'm not doing my hair, honey. With the COVID thing happening, I said, just,
It's like
I like it. I like it white in the front. I like it. I don't care. But I had to get over myself, my pride in my looks. Yes, I want to look good, but I also don't want to be so obsessed because nobody else is as obsessed with my frailties and my imperfections, right? So to whoever it was, my sweetheart, my dearest one, yes, look in the mirror and say, it's going to be okay. There was another lady, and I don't know who her name was. I saw her, I believe it was on Marie Forleo's podcast. I took B School also. Marie Forleo is great also. I took Amy Porterfield's.
Yep.
These are all wonderful people. Did Corey
Poirier.
His court, and Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi, and Darren Hardy. So learning from people and seeing them come on the camera, and they're not perfect, but we have to get over ourselves and be brave, and you've got to use a mirror, and you've got to video record yourself.
You know what?
That's like the best and the worst, right?
Yeah.
I just don't like to watch myself.
Oh my gosh. Did I do that? And I tell my students that you've got to record yourself. And this is because of the new. Okay. Producer, director, he said, Marquita, you've got to do videos. And all of a sudden, this was like maybe 10 years ago. We did a trade. He came to one of my classes,
Yeah.
and then that's what started me doing videos. And I just put videos out. You'll see some of the videos. I don't look great, okay? You know? And I had to get over myself and say, I've got to do it. Otherwise, there's so many little tidbits that you can give somebody because it's only you. Nobody else can give you. Even though they say the same thing, you might touch somebody's heart. If I'm touching you right now, as imperfect as I am, yeah, you know, but now you've got something to say. You've got something to give. So now, you know, give it out, honey.
Mhm.
And someone's going to say, oh my gosh, because you said that, I was brave enough to get counseling.
Yes.
I was brave enough to love myself.
Yes.
I cared enough to not hide in my house and get outside and smile at somebody. Ooh,
Also, yes.
smile. You know that it lights up the world?
So good.
It just lights everybody up and everything.
It's like the eyes sparkle.
Yes, the smile. You know, because if you walk down the street and you see so many people, they're frowning, you think they really don't like anybody or they don't like me. And then you smile at them and all of a sudden they come alive.
Yeah.
And it's because of you, not me, you. And Laura,
Please get another
Masha.
question in there.
am I saying your name right? Masha. Okay, I said it Marsha before. Please forgive me, sweetheart. I'm so sorry.
Oh, good.
That's why I thought I was going to butcher his name. I thought, oh my gosh, you're going to butcher it, Marquita.
We're working
But
through
my
it.
name is Marquita. Somebody tried to call me Marky, and I said, if you do that again, I'm going to kill you. Not really, you know.
You might need to put your question in there again.
Okay.
Oh. You good?
Oh, I have a question, Masha.
Yes.
How can someone get started who doesn't think they can be a speaker or a singer? Oh my gosh. You know, with life, it's easy to sit in front of the TV.
Yep.
And watch somebody. For an athlete, it's easy to watch. Yeah, oh, he did the pitch, he did the great. It's easy to sit and watch. The Voice or one of them.
Oh, yeah.
America's Got Talent. Well, yeah, America has talent. You know, sorry, okay. America has talent. I'm from Philadelphia and I'm in LA, and I got to tell you, I'm still a Philly girl. But yeah, I love it. And watching someone do something, vicarious living and wishing is no fun. And so it's about being brave. Fear kills. It's a bottom line. If we look at it and say, I'm only afraid because I might make a boo-boo, or I'm going to sing horrible, or you don't, a lot of people don't like their sound. Nobody likes their sound. I heard a recording and I go, did I do that? I've been singing ever since I was a kid, decades, and I'm 75. This is a long time, So you have to be brave, and you have to go slowly. You don't record yourself at first because you will freak out, because it's hard to listen back because we don't hear ourselves the same, right?
Yeah.
We hear back from another source. So when we hear from another source, when we hear the recording, we're actually hearing it differently. And it's, oh my gosh, Yes. And Laura says, I was afraid of the power of my voice for years. I can finally hear me sing loudly and be okay with it. Yep. Yes. Isn't that wonderful?
Yes.
That is so
good.
wonderful. Oh, I'm glad for you. And you know what? If you don't start, you never have a finish. You never have something. And at first, you have to be kind. You think of what you would say to somebody else. It's the bicycle thing. When you fall off the bike when you're a kid, you don't sit there. A lot of people sit there and cry. But then mom and dad come and say, no, keep going. And all of a sudden you're whizzing down the road. And I can't remember whether it was Dean Graziosi or someone else, but they said, if you had a kid and they fell down, or if a kid falls down, they don't stay there. They might cry, but they never learn to walk. They get up and keep trying and trying and trying until they're walking because they want to walk. So your why is always that thing, right, that we all talk about.
Yes.
And the thing is that you must, I keep saying, you got to be brave. Just do it and don't criticize it. Think of what you would do with someone else. You'd be kind to them. Keep going. It's going to be okay. And when we're first at something, we don't sound that great. Just accept that is the bottom line. You will not sound, and some people do. It's like, oh my gosh, but then they're afraid to take that next step and take lessons or keep practicing. And that's the other thing. We're just plain old lazy. I have warrior women. I go, warrior woman, no laziness. I actually do that in the morning, warrior woman, no procrastination. And I take my swords and I just slice it in half. Yes. Yeah, exactly. And I have my morning routine, and that's what you can do when you're really afraid. If you don't have a morning routine or a routine and scheduling for the day, you will not schedule in the loves, the want-tos, the dreams, the aspirations, because the day just takes you away. It has an agenda of its own. I have my day locked in. I get up at 4 and I start with taking care of my animals. Getting my coffee, which I have water now, but I have my coffee usually, and you can see what it says here. Can you see what it says?
No.
It's not the journey, but it's who you take it, who you take it with, right? It's who you go with. So it's not the journey, but who you travel with. Are you traveling with yourself? Wow. Are you with yourself? Or allowing yourself to be over here wishing that person you want to be would happen. It won't just happen. So if you want to sing, and Laura took Masha took the brave step. Courage.
Yes.
Do you have courage? If you don't, you can get it. But it's with practice. It's everything. It's practicing. So look they're on a podcast now, and they're hosts and co-hosts. They didn't get there because they wish they could, right? Yeah. They took action. They were brave. And so you now, you're going to be okay. You're going to be brave. You're going to walk into your life, into the best part of you. Courage. Life takes courage. Mm-hmm. It's going to hit you. It's going to bat you down, right? Yep. It's going to have the obstacles. And when you have the obstacles, before I used to run away, hide. I did it a lot, Yeah. And I said, no more. I have to be brave. Take the water.
Yep. We got about 2 minutes left. So one more question.
and actually take a step. Baby steps. I hear it, from everybody, Darren, and all the other coaches. And I have to remember my breathing too, because I tense up, I get so excited. It's like you forget to breathe. Okay. Yes. So 2 minutes left. You mean I yacked through this whole thing?
We did. We made it.
I can't believe it. Okay, last question. I start my day singing Powerful. Oh,
I do.
Masha, on the side of the highway. Yeah. Where can we find you? Social media, website, etc. My website is down. The new website is it's being built behind the scenes. It's coming up. So it should be this week or next. But if you need to get a hold of me, Marquita Waters, not .com, that'll be next week, but gmail.com. And if you get a hold of me, the first 3 people, okay, I'm going to give free 15 minutes vocal lessons with on a Zoom, talk to you 3 lessons, okay, 15 minutes or more, you know what I mean? Because I keep going. It's also loving. So I get I get so excited when I teach. Now, what else can I give? How about if you are the first 2 people, if you're after that, the first 3 people are getting a lesson, and then the third person I'm going to send a book to. Okay. Now I want you to give me your email addresses, okay? So that you can be on my email list. It's straight out. I'm telling you straight out. I want more people to know because I have a course coming out. You asked me, what can I say, honey? I hold no bars. This is a plug. My book is on Amazon. Okay. It is about my life in the beginning. There are pictures. Okay. There are pictures there. Okay. And then there's all about the voice. It's all about the voice. So there you go. You've got that. You've got a book coming to somebody. You've got 3 people, right? That will get a 15-minute thing. But I want you to come be on my email list, marquitawaters@gmail.com. Say hi. I love to answer your questions there, no matter what. Soon I'll have a course coming out. And let me see. Yes. Marquita, your energy. Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you so much. Lord, thank you so much for joining us and working through not being here with us. We did it. Our next guest is here. May God bless you all. May you have a wonderful day. Love you all. You are dear sweethearts. Bye. Bye. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here. Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Oh, wow.
You
That
have
was
moved my world.
Like, no, right? Just, wow, we did it. Okay. Yes, our next guest is here. Thank you, Marquita. We're going to be joined by Colleen. Let's see if Colleen can hear us. Can you hear us, Colleen?
I see you guys, but I don't hear anything.
You don't hear anything either?
Interesting.
I was on the chat with Conrad before, and we thought it would come up once you brought me on stage. Let me just let him know that I don't hear.
I'm going to click the having issues and seeing what happens.
If there's anything you think I can do on my end, just send it to me in the chat.
Okay. Masha or Masha?
My sound is on.
All good, all good.
You ask a question in there, and then I will try to see if there's anything I can do behind the scenes.
That sounds good.
You know what? I'm going to try undoing my mic. Let's see if that makes a difference. I don't know why it would.
Because I don't want to refresh.
Can you hear us now? Yes, but now you're on mute.
Oh, no. Well, what did you do?
I didn't do it. Let's see. We cannot. It's showing you as muted. But the good thing is I think you can. Yes.
Yay!
What happened?
You can hear us.
What did we do?
I took off my mic for some reason. That was keeping me from hearing you guys.
Oh.
Oh my gosh.
Can you come just a little bit closer to your computer then? So we can hear you better?
That's the thing. Now I don't have a good mic.
But we can hear you, and you can hear us.
How was that?
That worked.
Hello.
Hey.
Colleen, hello.
How are you guys doing?
We are doing fantastic. Excited to have you here. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here. I've been listening to your interviews over the last couple of days.
Nice.
To hear what everybody's up to.
That's always fun. There's like this big window in front of my thing where I can't see. Oh, now I can see. Good. I can see comment. I can see private chat.
I can hear and see everything.
It's been a fun and weird day today. Yesterday we had a little bit of fun, and I think I want to go back to that just for a moment, where I was asking the guests before we really learned too much about them, is what would be 3 words that you would like other people to use to describe you?
Oh God, like other people to use to describe me.
Mm-hmm.
I would say unique.
Ooh. Mm-hmm.
Curious.
Oh, I like that one.
And I'm debating between tenacious and kind.
We can go with 4.
I cheated.
So then why would you use, those words?
Unique, I guess I don't like being put in a box, and I always like to have my own message, and I like to create. I love to learn from other people and then put a bit of a unique spin on it. So I think unique is good. Tenacious. I've had to be. I've had a lot of challenges. Who hasn't, right? And I think being tenacious allows you to keep pushing through. It's allowed me to start my business, now to start a second business, and it helps me to get one foot in front of the other when life is hard. So tenacious is good. And curious, I think, is really important. And it's one of the things I work with people in pain and people who have chronic illness. And curiosity is something that I see, it's something I've always had naturally in myself. It's something that I'm seeing makes a huge difference in others. And it wouldn't have been the thing that I thought was the secret sauce that makes the difference.
Yeah.
But the longer I'm working in this field, the more that I see that curiosity piece can really shift people from a place of fear, which changes everything.
Aww. Yeah, we had a couple conversations this week with different people who are in the health space and in the pain space. And earlier we were talking to Ani about the pain. What got you into this kind of work?
Yeah, it was kind of not on purpose. When I first started my career, I started in athletic therapy, and my specialty was working with athletes and exercise rehab. I really love trying to piece together movement that fit what that person was trying to do functionally in their life. I then went on to become an osteopath, and just by nature of being an osteopath, people start to send you the more complicated cases.
Yes.
So at first it was just kind of, I had to learn more because I didn't feel I had enough tools to help the people that I was now seeing. At the same time, I have a niece who was born with all of her abdominal organs on the outside of her body.
Oh.
And she's never lived a day in her life without pain.
Yeah.
And I felt so helpless to not be able to help someone like her. So I wanted to learn more about, to help people like her. And then I myself ended up having several spine surgeries and have been living in chronic pain for about a dozen years. So I saw very quickly that, you know what, there's no one out there, as much as I'm surrounded by amazing professionals and a great team, I'm the one who lives in this body 24/7. And I'm really lucky that because of what I've studied, I had tools to help myself. But I realized as I was going through it that, you know what, most people don't have these tools. And if they were stuck on the floor like I was, not able to move for weeks at a time, they're just waiting until someone tells them what to do because they don't have that knowledge, right? So I felt very lucky that I knew what to do, and I kind of made it my life's mission while I was lying there unable to move, to figure out, well, how can I get these tools out to the most people possible? And so that's what I've been working on for a while now.
Wow, Colleen, I feel like you are the epitome of, we struggle when it comes to business owning and entrepreneurship, but you are the epitome of that, where you saw a problem that didn't exist and you had created the person who you needed through the process, and now you're able to go and share it with others. So who is your favorite person to help when you go out there and you seek them out or they seek you out? What are some of the most powerful stories that you've had from working with your patients?
Oh, wow, a lot. And I would say that's where I've done my most learning, even though I read a lot and take a lot of workshops and I've learned from some amazing professionals. You learn the most from the people who are living it every day, right?
Yeah.
So some incredible stories. But I think what's most gratifying, I guess, is when you see someone who usually by the time someone comes to see me, they've been living with their problem for a long, long time. They've seen many, many people. They've had the door closed in their face. They've either been told you just have to live with it, or it's all in your head, or there's nothing we can do, and they're very discouraged. They've kind of lost hope, So I love that moment when that light turns on and they go, oh, wait, this isn't hopeless. There is a lot that I can do. And then I find it actually fun to then work together to figure out, okay, well, what's the, I'm going to say recipe, but it's completely the wrong word because there is no recipe, but what is the combination of tools that works best for you, because it's not the same from one person to the next. But seeing that moment, and as I say, when I see people, they're in a place of fear, understandably so, and when they shift from that fear to curiosity, I don't know, it's like this light lifts and everything changes, and I get really excited in that moment because you can see that now they have hope and now they're motivated. they're empowered. They understand that there's so much they can do, and then they want to learn. Okay, what else can I do to help myself? And that's what I don't know if that's really what you meant, or if you wanted a specific sort of case study, but I can do that too if you're interested in that.
Yeah, I would love to. I mean, if there are specific cases that come to mind, please do share them. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, I have two that come to mind that have been so inspiring. So I won't say names, of course, but one is a gentleman who had cancer of the psoas. The psoas is the muscle that connects your leg to your spine. It's the one that lifts the leg up. So they had to remove that muscle. They had to remove the quadratus lumborum, several nerves. He was told he would never walk again, and he told them as they were wheeling him into surgery, I will walk again. And even though on paper he doesn't even have the muscles or the nerves to control the leg, he has figured out how to control the leg, and he is walking. He has been walking for years, and he lives with a lot of challenges. Yeah, chills, exactly. He lives with a lot of challenges, but he works so hard, and his attitude is amazing. And he was sent to me. He had done physio for, I forget how long, about a year or so, and they had gotten him to a particular place and then felt like it was a plateau. They sent him to me for Pilates. And here's this big guy. He's like over 6 feet tall. He looks like a big football player, and I'm like 5'2", this little blonde thing. And he comes in and he's super skeptical. He's never heard of Pilates, but hats off to him for coming, right?
Yep.
And then I know the physio he worked with, so I know he's done all the right big exercises. So we didn't do that day. We did a lot of breath work, and we did these really small, gentle movements. And we didn't do much with the leg itself. We worked with the rest of the body, and I could just see that I was losing him, And when he left, I said, I'd love to see you again. And I explained why, how I thought it would work. And he left, and I thought, I'm never going to see him again. But he called the next day, and he said, I left, and I thought, what the F is this? The bLU movements, and how is that going to get me walking? He says, and then I got to the parking lot, and I sat in my truck, and for the first time in a year, my spine was touching the seat. And I thought, oh, crap, now I have to go back.
Amazing.
And he came back, and the second time he again left and said, this is ridiculous. The bLU movements, it's not for me. It's not going to do anything. And I got in my truck, and he said, for the first time, I didn't have to pick my leg up to move it from the gas pedal to the brake. And he said, okay, that's it. I'm in. and I saw him for years. So I so appreciate that his curiosity brought him through the door. His curiosity brought him back, and it made a big difference in his life,
I love that so much, because there's a lot of talk about yoga. It's like yoga, and everybody loves yoga. I actually prefer Pilates because I don't have to hold a stance. My muscles work and joints and, the nerve. Because I was in a bicycle accident, it was a lot of nerve damage.
Right.
Holding a pose.
Yeah, very tough.
Oh, hurts so bad.
One of the beauties about Pilates, I don't know if you got to work with the equipment, but the equipment in Pilates, which was designed back in the 1920s by Joseph Pilates, and we're still using pretty much the same design now, you can set the machines up to support you if you're not strong enough to do something yet. And then as you get stronger, we can set it up to challenge you. So it's really versatile. So for any kind of post-op or post-trauma, it's fantastic. Yoga is fantastic too. I use both.
Yeah.
It's like everything. It depends on the person, right? And there's a time for everyone where you might need to change what you're doing. But yeah.
When we were talking with Ani earlier, it's like I've tried over 50 different modalities to try to heal from just that accident. And Pilates and yoga and physiotherapy, and like all of that was a part of it. But I found that each one gave me different insights that I didn't understand, or it gave me understanding on why one, just like this gentleman that you gave us an example of, would think, well, there's no way this is going to work. But you start to see how they're connected and why the seemingly ones that won't work actually work really well.
Absolutely. And I find that part, it's curious to me that we don't teach our kids about their bodies. Like, to me, from day one in school, that should be part of the curriculum. We learn about anatomy, learn about how pain works, because then when we end up later on in life and we have an accident or we have an injury, instead of fear taking over, if we have an understanding of what's actually going on in our bodies and we already learned some tools to help us, well, that makes a huge difference. I live in Montreal. We just had an ice storm, and we had a power outage for 5 days. Some people are still without power, no heat, no hot water, all that stuff. And everybody was scrambling to try to get gas when only one gas station was open, to try to get food, to try to get toilet paper. So it was a disaster, but it's not when you're in the crisis that you're supposed to be going to get those tools, right? So a lot of people wait until they're in terrible pain or they've lost function to seek out these tools. But to me, I want everyone to learn how many things you can do with your own body so that you start doing it now, first of all, preventatively, but then if or when you do end up with an injury or something, you don't have to learn it in that moment when you're in crisis, right? You can, but it's harder. It's harder to learn it when you're in that crisis mode.
That reminds me of the conversation around diversity, inclusion, equity, and access, because usually people think of it as a black and white scenario. You either are or you aren't part of that. When in your world, somebody can easily just flip that from one to the other side. And
Yeah.
we don't even think about it until we're there and we're like,
Oh,
crap.
yeah. Yeah.
And now we have to
Yeah.
learn. So yeah, the preventative is so important.
Yeah. So when you're in that space and you have your story and you have your clients' stories, I feel like the motif for today has been courage and curiosity. I feel like those have been the solutions.
Here's my little patterns. I love you so much. Yes. Okay.
But when we're talking about these things and coming from a place of, I feel like at some point you start becoming hopeless when you're experiencing something for a long time. You can't find a solution. You can't break through that glass ceiling. And at some point you make the decision. So what has been for you the biggest moment where you were able to choose that, where you've seen your clients being able to choose that, being able to go from that to saying, you know what, I'm back on it. I will find a solution, and you have that breakthrough?
It's a great question. I'll say what it was for me, and I do see this in a lot of people. Acceptance is a huge one.
Yes.
Chronic issues are very different from getting over an acute injury. In an acute injury that, I got this and pushing through and being really strong and being okay with things hurting a little bit, when something's acute, that serves you really well. When something starts to shift over to being chronic, it's a completely different thing that you're dealing with. Now you're not dealing with a tissue problem, you're dealing with a nervous system problem, which we can dive into in a moment if you'd like. So you're basically dealing with the whole, well, you're always dealing with the whole person, but it's more a whole person perspective that's going to get you through it. And if we stick to that no pain, no gain attitude, and I'm tough and this isn't really happening, I'm just going to keep going about my day to day because that's what we do, that's not what's going to get you through. And for myself, with all the knowledge that I had, I was still doing that no pain, no gain thing. And I did it for the first 4 years of my journey with chronic pain. I was using all of the things that work with all of the people I work with, and it wasn't working for me. And one day I remember I literally stopped and I got down on the ground and I said out loud to myself, like to my body, I said, what do you need from me? I've done everything I know how to do. I don't know what else I can do. And the response from my body was so clear. My body said, stop, just stop, stop doing, start listening, and just rest. And when I shifted to, okay, instead of giving my body what I think it should need at this point and where I think I should be at this point, I started with working where I actually was in this moment, accepting that I wasn't the same physical body that I was before. I didn't have the same function that I had before. I had to work with where I was right now. And I do see that being a big difference. If people are still trying to be the person they were before and work with that, it's like they're in a boxing match with their own self, But when you can be in the present moment and work with where you are at and really learn to tune in and listen to what are your needs right this very second and start working with that moment to moment, that to me is when people start to see that shift.
Yeah, my husband is in a similar situation. He's had chronic pain from like something around the sciatica area as well as like neck, shoulders. But he's for a long time he would still imagine himself as this 19-year-old judo guy, who we met in my kitchen with him doing the splits with chairs. So when he just dropped into the splits one day, like mid-20s, late 20s, something like that. And he pulled a muscle. He was like, "What is this?" Just for a moment, he couldn't understand why his body couldn't keep up. And then he's reminded, I'm not the person that I used to be. Should probably switch that mindset a little. Yeah, we can get.
And I want to be careful because it's not to say that you will never be that person again, right? And there's nothing wrong with visualizing what you want and all of that, but that's different than pretending what's happening is not happening,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's a very different mindset.
I also like that you mentioned earlier about case studies and how you are your own kind of case study. I want to highlight this piece because for a lot of people, like all three of us here and many of our listeners, we want to share our message.
Yeah.
But sometimes we forget that our story is a case study. These people who go to the universities and learn about things learn from case studies. But guess what? If you're a case study, you have this marvelous insight that isn't actually written down for other people. You have every detail of it within you. So now, Colleen, you get to see your clients in a whole other layer of understanding because you've been through it. There are just certain subtleties that we don't like to talk about, which isn't necessarily written down in a case study for other people to study.
You're so right. And it, even though I had already been working with people in chronic pain and I thought I understood what they were going through, because I had a bout of chronic pain in my late teens as well for about 5-6 years. And then I got through that. This situation is very different. So because I had been through chronic pain, though, I thought that I understood what my patients were going through. Now that I'm in this version, we'll call it, I realized I didn't have an understanding because I was in a body that was still working. Even though I had pain in my previous experience, I could still do what I wanted to do. I would pay for it, but I would get through that and I'd be functional. This time, it's not just about the sensation of pain. I've also lost a lot of function, so I have to live my life differently, and that's the part that I didn't understand when I was hearing other people before. And to your point, Laura, like I'm so grateful. As horrible as the journey has been, it has taught me so much, and absolutely I can relate more to my clients now, and they feel that. I can tell that they see that when they're sharing their story, I'm not just this blank, thing writing down the keywords. I get it, and you can see that gives them a sense that they're in a safe place, and then it's that therapeutic alliance is just opened up.
That's also why I use the word layers, because we do have an understanding that it's not just our story and our experience that makes us an expert on it. It's we've done the work, we've done the studying, we've done the working with other people, we've seen the multiple perspectives, we've worked and analyzed and like tried to upgrade everything about it. And that's what makes us so good.
Yes, and what I find I've learned the most from is when I take something that I've read about for years, that has been proven with science, that I've used and has worked on hundreds and hundreds of patients, and then it doesn't work in my body and I have to figure out another way.
Yes.
That's what I've learned the most from, right? So I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't have gotten that from reading a book. I could only have understood that by, is lymphatic movement one of the results of this therapy? Yeah. Thank you for that question. So the lymphatic system is really important in any healing. Anything that's gone on for a while, your lymphatic system is likely going to be affected. The thing to understand about the lymphatic system is that unlike the heart that has its own internal pump, the lymphatic system does not. So the only way the lymphatic system moves is if we move our bodies. It's by the contract relax of our muscles that we stimulate the lymphatic system, and by the movement of our breath, or by some external manual treatments as well. So yes, when I work on people, the lymphatic system is something that I address for sure, either through movement and or hands-on. But if you're someone out there who's living with anything chronic, look into how you can get your lymphatic system moving again, because it will help you in that healing process for sure. Thank you.
So Colleen, with that, who is the ideal person who you like to work with, and what is your message for them?
I like the really complex cases that seem to not make sense. Those people that have these different symptoms from different systems and they think none of it's related, and everybody's told them that this has nothing to do with that. it always has to do with each other. You are one body, so anything that's going on in your body is affecting everything else that's going on in your body. So I like to work with those people who have been told there's nothing that they can do, and I like to prove that whoever told them that, I like to prove them wrong. um, and it's I never would have imagined saying this 20 years ago, but it's almost easier in some ways when someone has that super complex situation, because their life is usually so challenging that the smallest change for the positive makes a huge difference in their day to day. And we can do that. And we keep doing that little bit by little bit by little bit until the function starts to come back. So I really like those really complex cases.
Awesome.
I like
And
how
I
you
will say one thing. I like working with the people who are ready to work with me. You know, I'm not there to fix you. We are partners. You are a much bigger part of the team than I am. I'm there to guide you, to help you, to help point you in the right direction and give you the tools. And I can do some things on your body too. But again, you live in your body 24/7. So my goal when I work with people is to teach you how to do what I'm doing when we're not together. So I like people who are ready to learn and be interested in how their bodies work so that they can figure out how to work with their bodies.
Is there something that we could practice together live with the audience here
Yeah,
at
of
home?
course. Always. Okay, let me just think of one. What would I like to?
You're
I
like,
mean,
oh, there's so many to choose
there's so
from.
many.
Okay,
You know,
so
it always sounds simplistic, but breath is the number one tool to help
yes.
people. We breathe 17 to 33,000 times a day. It is connected to every system in the body. So let's just do a breath practice together. How
Sure.
much time do we have? I'll keep it short either way, but
Yeah, keep it about 2 minutes or so.
okay, perfect.
People like
So
that.
just perfect. Take a moment to just get comfortable, whatever that means for you. If you want to lie down, cozy up in a blanket, take a moment to get really comfy. Eyes can be open or closed, whatever allows you to tune inwards better. Just notice what parts of you are in contact with something. So whether that's your feet on the floor, your pelvis on the chair, or your spine on a backrest. And just notice that you've got some support and allow yourself to be supported. And then bring your attention to your breath. Without trying to change it, without judging it, notice that you are breathing. Without you having to do anything special, your body is breathing for you all day, every day. And then tune in to the sound, rhythm, and feel of your breath. And know that that sound, rhythm, and feel of your breath is unique to you. I like to think of it as your own personal lullaby or your own symphony that's written by you, for you. And nobody else on the planet has the exact same sound, rhythm, and feel to their breath as you do. So tune into that personal lullaby for a moment and just listen to it. Just feel it. Just sense it. And let that sound, rhythm, and feel of your breath soothe you. Think of it as a place of refuge that you can come to no matter how loud or chaotic the world around you gets. You can always come back to this place. And for a few cycles, just allow your whole system to be soothed by your own personal lullaby, your own personal symphony that's written by you, for you. And still without judging it, just notice if your energetic state shifts just a little bit just by paying attention. And stay with it for 3 more breaths. Enjoy that sound, rhythm, and feel that's yours alone. And know that you can come back here anytime, anywhere. It's with you 24/7. It doesn't cost any money, and you don't need anyone to guide you through. Just expand your awareness for a moment to bring your whole body back into your attention. If your eyes were closed, you can slowly open them. You might want to take a little look around the room, orient yourself to something that gives you comfort. Maybe look out the window.
It's a sunny day today.
Yeah, here it is beautiful.
Yes.
Spring is finally here, I think.
So one of the things I was thinking of in the middle of that when you said that our body and the sounds that it makes is like a lullaby. I do enjoy listening to heartbeats to help me sleep. But then I also was talking to a friend of mine a couple days ago about different songs to sing her daughter. I'm like, well, considering most children's lullabies are really dark, anything else would be lovely.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Oh
Like,
my
yeah,
God.
I don't need to sing about babies falling out of trees.
Really strange, eh? When we look back at all of them.
So bad.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, my heartbeat and my digestive noises, they're so much nicer than that.
Absolutely.
I would love to hear from the audience. I feel like I just had a kind of surreal experience. It seems very, very like a simple exercise you would think, but it's so deep. We never slow down to listen to ourselves. I would love to hear from the audience with whether you're live with us or whether you're listening to the recording, the replay. I'd love for you to put in the chat if something moved, if something happened, if something shifted for you. What did you notice? I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, thank you, Misha. I'd love to hear as well.
Yeah.
And I'll just say, sometimes we think we have to do something so big and complicated to fix this big and complicated problem, but it's actually in these simple, quick and easy. I'm not going to say easy. That's not true. If you're not used to tuning inwards, it can be very challenging.
Yeah.
But I'll call them simple. There are some simple tools that you can use several times throughout the day. And yes, there are hundreds of different breath practices where we try to manipulate the breath that are also wonderful. But sometimes when you're dealing with something really challenging, that even feels like too much. So just know that you can just listen, and sometimes that's enough to shift you into a different nervous system state.
I want to compare that to goal setting in business for a moment, because we think of goals as like this big end goal and we have to take these big steps and create our SMART goals and all of this, when really what we're trying to do is we're trying to develop the habits, daily subtle habits that build on to each other to create the type of person that accomplishes these goals.
Yeah,
That's where
and
these subtle things come in. It's like, master those.
I'm really glad you brought up goals, because goals for someone who lives with something chronic are tricky. Because you can set a goal based on how you're feeling when you set your goals, but how you feel when you're living with something chronic changes all the time. So what you set up for yourself in the morning may not be realistic 2 hours later, but then you feel like a failure if you didn't accomplish your goals. So I tell people, instead of having a goal, make a plan, but even your plan, let it be fluid. Your pain is fluid, it's going to change all the time. You're fluid, you're going to change all the time. So your plan has to also be fluid and allow it to change without judgment, with a lot of self compassion. It should change because you're changing every moment.
A lot of my goals have switched to practices. It's like,
Yeah.
what am I attempting to practice? Do I have to do it every single day? No, but my goal is to practice. So, one of the things when I had spiraled down with mental health a couple times was my only practice for the day was to brush my hair.
Mm,
Because for me, at that point in my life, was extremely difficult and took all of the effort that I could muster in a day.
good for you for doing it.
Exactly. But we think about it and we're like, brushing your hair takes like 2 minutes, should be nothing. In that moment, it took everything. Today, it's nothing. Or maybe one day it was nothing and another day it took everything, but in the same week. So it's the same thing with business and with all of our work. What are those things that we can do? Lowest common denominator kind of stuff. That is the daily practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with what we know about neuroplasticity, the more you do something, the easier it becomes to do it, right? So something that it was challenging at first, I imagine that eventually it became less challenging because your nervous system adapted. A nervous system adapts to what we do, right? So exactly as you say, find those one or two small things that you can do often. Practice them, get good at them. Your nervous system will learn them, and then they won't be hard anymore. Eventually, doesn't happen overnight. Eventually.
Well, it was like brush my hair, and then it was get dressed, and then it was you should probably eat some breakfast and feed your daughter since she was so young at the time. Like, but all of these were just stackable practices and stackable habits. So let's come back to the whole idea of this event, the Amplify Your Message. You have this message. We learned a little bit about it. We practiced it together, which is always lovely. Thank you. What are your favorite ways to share this message?
So I'm still figuring it out, but so YouTube is one of the ways. So I put practices on YouTube so that people have access to things for free. And then I amplify those through Instagram and Facebook. So all three of those places you can find a lot of my practices. But my big thing is that I created an online program because as an osteopath, I can see one person an hour. And that's wonderful. I love that one-on-one time, but I can only see a certain number of people in a day, right? And I want many, many, many more people to understand and have these tools at their fingertips. So I developed an online program called Dare to Heal. And that is what I want people to go to, because in Dare to Heal, it teaches you all the things that I would teach you when we're one-on-one, but you can digest it at your own rhythm. You can go back and revisit it over and over again. And it gives you a whole bunch of those small, short tools that you can pick and choose from and use as they fit for you in any given moment, because your pain is fluid and you change all the time. So those are my main ways.
Okay, see, now I'm curious. Are you a fan of Brene Brown? Is that where the title came from?
Is that? Oh, no, it's so funny though. I have her book, and in my brain, I keep seeing the title of her book as Dare to Heal, which it's not. But every time I see it on my bookshelf, my brain flips it. Dare to Heal. I think my program came out before her book, so.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to do the same thing with one of the books that I thought I was going to write for over 10 years. Instead of Simon Sinek's Start With Why, my book was going to be called Start With B. And then I was like, I should probably switch it to Health Starts With B. Which it's still kind of that same thing. Are you interested in writing books? Have you written a book yet?
I have written about 4 books here.
Yeah. Oh, very familiar.
And Corey will kill me for this, but I don't have them on. I have them partially on paper, but I really feel like I want to take time away from all my other things to focus just on that for a couple of months, which I haven't done yet. But in working on it, and I started working on my book when I was not able to move, so I couldn't put anything down on paper at that point. But now I really feel that I think what I would like to get out before the book is a card deck. Because for people who are in pain, it's hard to digest too much at once. And a card deck gives you those little tips. So everything that I have in the pain care program, everybody learns differently. Some people need that physical voice or the video or whatever, but some people prefer to read. So that's what I'm going to try to work on to get out next. And the other way that I do amplify my message is that I teach and I speak. I love to teach workshops and courses. I love to teach teachers. So I'm trying to get the word out to other professionals who work with people in pain, whether that's yoga and Pilates teachers or osteopaths, physios, athletic therapists, that kind of thing, teaching them our new understanding of pain and how we can put all the different tools together to help people. So I love doing that.
That's amazing.
Which one is your favorite? Do you have a favorite
challenging me now. I would say my favorite, I love working with people in person. I really do. So the hands-on and the teaching, I would say, are my top 2, but the online reaches so many more people and has a bigger impact. So it's tricky. I like them all. But I love working with people. I like being there physically with people.
Yeah. My favorite is definitely the stage, because I am that person, but I'm also an extrovert. So I'm like, if I could get a room filled with people that have high energy and I can just build their energy, then I'm like, yes, feeding off of all of their positive energy.
Yeah. Teaching a group is fun. It just goes by in seconds. Hours goes by in seconds, which is a good sign that you're loving what you're doing.
Do you have a favorite, Masha?
I do. So anything that has to do with being able to see the reaction. Like I have a hard time recording because I'm like, I can't gauge the person on the other side, and you're missing that connection. But when you are, whether it's virtual, whether it's in person, whether it's off of stage, you catch people's eyes and you catch people's attention and you get that feedback and you're tuned in, and all of a sudden it's a conversation.
My favorite moments are when the audience, you can watch some of their jaws will drop, but most of the time they're silent. And it's not the bad silence, it's the good silence, because you can watch them process on their face. And I'm just like, yes, watching
the process happening. Yes.
It is so beautiful.
Absolutely. Colleen,
sorry, I was just going to say one part that with the online program that I created, because I want that face-to-face time, is that we do meet live every week, and it's really fun to see people's progression. You know, usually that first 1 or 2 weeks, there's so much fear, so much hesitation, and then by week 3, 4, now it's that curiosity and excitement, and they want to learn more. So it's fun to see that shift, you know?
Yeah.
I have a quick question, and I know we're winding down a little bit, but did speaking, so for speaking, being on stage, for teaching, did that always come natural to you? Because you mentioned like being on the stage is very comfortable, but getting to that point, what has allowed you to go from I have this really powerful message to I now want to and am ready to share it with people?
Yeah, so I always hated public speaking, like that having to do orals in school was a disaster. But that tenacity that I have, I like to face my fears and I like challenges. So if you give me a challenge, I'm going to rise to meet it. So two things. One, I always did dance with my sport. And at a very young age, my dance teacher was at a very young age, I was 12 or 13. She was sick and she asked me if I could take over the class that day, just sort of spontaneously. And I just went, oh my God, okay. And I loved it so much. So I did a lot of that. So teaching dance, choreographing, that kind of thing allowed me to be on stage in one way, which was natural to me. Speaking was not, but when I became certified as a Pilates instructor, I created my own teacher training because anybody who worked at my studio had to be able to work with people who had chronic pain. So what they were learning in the regular teacher trainings didn't give them that element. So I created my own. And then I remember one of my studio owner friends, she wanted her staff to just get kind of the basics of, you know, what can you give us in 4 days kind of thing. So I said, oh, okay, I guess I'll create something. And then I just kept doing that. And I love doing that. So if I don't see out there what I wish we all knew, I try to create it and then present it.
Awesome.
Does that feel like you as well, where you're trying to create the content that you wish you had?
Oh, 100%. Yes, for sure. For sure.
Ooh, it's 1:11 on my clock. Cool.
It is. It was 11:11 over here.
Yeah, that's right.
We have about 3 minutes left. How do we find you, Colleen?
So, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. I'm Stillness in Motion with Colleen Jordensen on YouTube, Stillness in Motion on Facebook, and _ Stillness in Motion on Instagram.
Nice. So if there was anything that you needed people to take away from this conversation today, what would it be?
That if you're someone who lives with chronic pain or chronic illness, there is hope. Pain is changeable. It does not matter how long you've had it, what your diagnosis is, or whether you even have a diagnosis. I cannot promise you that you can make your pain go away, but I can promise you that you can change it. So find the right people for you, whether that's me or my program or somebody else. There's someone out there or people out there who are the right fit for you. I know it's exhausting to keep searching, but keep searching because it's out there and you can make it better than what it is right now. I firmly believe that. I don't just firmly believe that, I see that every day.
Yeah.
And I've worked with thousands of people with pain and I see it all the time. So it is doable.
I was one of those people. I dealt with chronic pain for 3 years and I did heal my chronic pain. I don't have chronic pain anymore. So it is possible. For those out there, it is possible.
Absolutely. And the other thing is I believe in synchronicity. And I believe we talked a little bit about the body, you know, knowing what it needs and asking the body, being able to slow down enough. Yeah. And I also believe it's on one hand, it's internal, but it's also can be external as an experience. Mm-hmm. And so if you're here, if you're listening to today, there's a reason that you're hearing what you're hearing. There's a reason why you're here. So, you know, take action to that.
And it's not always you. Sometimes it's around you.
That's right.
Sometimes I'll get stuck there sometimes. I'm like, this message isn't for me. And then I'll talk to somebody else about it. And they're like, that is exactly what I needed. I'm like, oh, okay. So it wasn't for me at all. Okay, great.
For you to pass along. Yeah, that's a great point.
Pass it along.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any final comments just to make sure that we covered everything that you wanted to cover?
Yes, the last thing is trust that your body has the answers. You know, we've trained ourselves as little kids to not listen to our bodies, but now's the time. If you're whether you're dealing with something chronic or not, we all should learn how to tune in, listen to our bodies. It's got such wisdom. It's trying to give us messages all the time, and learning how to work with those messages. It truly is life changing. Whether you're someone who's with pain or not, it's like your best dance partner is right there. So learn how to dance with it.
I love
Amazing.
that.
Amazing. Colleen, thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you taking the time.
You're welcome.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you. And we got the sound to work, and people get stressed, and we didn't have to type in the chat. But now I'm looking for our next person.
Perfect.
I don't
Enjoy
see.
your next interview.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Have a good rest of your day, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
So, Masha, I have a job for you while I look up the next person and make sure that they have the link to join us. Just kind of give us some insights to recap what we have covered so far today. What were your favorite pieces?
I'm so excited that my tail is wagging. I don't know. my dog comes over and wags his tail. I'm like, this is.
Aww.
I'm very excited. So today we had so many incredible breakthroughs. We talked about, again, the motif has been, how do we amplify your message? How do we put you out there? How do you take action? How do you find the courage to do something that maybe feels uncomfortable at first? Is one of the biggest ones. I think my biggest takeaway also is that you can have, I love that we had multiple people talking about different things from their perspective, from their unique angle. And that even though it could appear that, okay, well, you have two individuals dealing with health, but their approach is completely different. Their story is unique. And there is somebody who you're going to resonate with and hear that person and be like, oh my gosh, I want to talk to them. So take the action, whatever that may look like for you, whether it's getting on the stage or taking action in your business, and watch your life transform.
And with that, we do have our guest behind the scenes. So I'm like, yes, you
All
can
right.
hear us. Thumbs up if you can hear us. Perfect.
Awesome. And we're off.
Hello. Hi, Laura. Hi, Masha. Oh, I'm so excited to see you.
You as well, Jessica. Oh my gosh.
I'm assuming you two know each other, at least have met before.
We met at Harvard, and then we've kept having conversations and hopefully collaborations along the way too. And that's one of the amazing things of Blue Talks is meeting people like Masha.
So complete strangers. That's what you're telling me.
Absolutely.
We've been having an interesting day with tech issues and questions. Today's a little more fun and engaging. So we're trying to find, I would like to have you think about it just a little bit now. We're trying to find different ways to get the audience engaged as well. So if there's something in your work where it comes up in conversation later where you could show us or take us through something for a minute or two, we would love to do that. But we want to start off with a little fun question that I have. It is, if you could choose 3 words that you would want somebody else to use to describe you, what would those 3 words be?
Oh my goodness, this is a hard one.
I know. But someone's asking, like, what? Tell us about you. That's also hard. So I figure I might as well go with the fun version of it.
Yes, I love this question. Yesterday, I was on a call with a potential partner for our firm at the Women's Wealth Boutique, and they said, we love your brand because it is so feminine, because my whole brand is pink. You can kind of get a sense of it. It's pink, but it's so strong, and there's a faith behind it. So I'm going to piggyback on that, since somebody said that about the brand, and I feel the brand's just a reflection of who we are.
Well, that was the next question anyway, is why. So
brand, yes. So feminine, strong, and faith leading, I'll say.
Okay.
All right. Yes. And then the next question was,
well, why? Why choose those words?
Ooh, why? Well, one, I feel God's always leading the ship, and he's my constant guidance, my grounding force. But it's amazing how something can be your grounding force, but also free you up to fly. Whenever you have that combination of two, it's like you're grounded in here, but that allows you to soar for it. And whenever people ask me, what are your visions for your firm, the Women's Wealth Boutique, for your books and things, I always say, well, God's really the one doing the work. So it's in his hands. He's like the top CEO of it. the feminine piece, I entered the financial industry in 2010,
Mhm.
and it's been a very male-driven industry for decades, right? Women make up 18% of financial advisors. That number hasn't changed in 20 years.
Oh, wow.
And I felt like when I started the industry, I did what most women do. We try to adapt to what the men are doing, right? That's how they're trained, and that's how they're training us. So we dress with our business suits on. We have our hair pulled back, our makeup modest. You're laughing more. You've been there.
I have so many blazers in my closet that I'm not wearing anymore.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I tell people, my only pantsuit that I wear now is hot pink and canary yellow.
Yes.
And that's it.
Oh, nice.
My two business suits. But that's what happened. Then you blend in and you don't feel like you're being authentic to who you are. It's this really watered down and muted version of you. And little by little, I started to show up more in, what made me happy and how I like to dress. And even if it's not that traditional pantsuit way, but you can still be professional, but be who you are. So that would be the feminine part, embracing that side of me and how much it's transformed our business and how we're able to work with more and more women and draw more female advisors, more female clients, investors, all of that. And then the strong part would be all around taking the risks and knowing you are strong, more than strong enough to get through any setbacks, pivots. Women, we're so adaptable. We're very adaptable creatures. I think we're just born and bred to be flexible and able to move and navigate things as they come at us. And there's so much inner strength, and instead of shying away from it, but to embrace it and to take the risks.
We talked about strength earlier in the week, and I would love to include you on this little switch that we've been playing with. Instead of using the word strong, I've started using the word courageous.
Oh, that's
because I know so many women, like a mutual friend, Masha, who's like, I don't want to be called strong anymore. Everybody sees me as strong, and then where am I allowed to be feminine? Like, oh, I never thought about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've heard a similar conversation with the word power.
Ooh, yes. See?
That a lot of people view power as overbearing, greedy, dictatorship kind of mentality versus a more feminine version of power. As well. So I could see that with strong, masculine notation. And then they're like going through childbirth, right? The most feminine process ever. Men have no idea what it's like. We are having this conversation yesterday. My director of operations, she was up for promotion. This was at a previous job. And she met with her manager afterwards, and she's in tears, crying. And her manager goes, What? She goes, I'm never going to get promoted. I'm pregnant. And the woman, her manager, who was also female, she kind of did that gulp, like, yes, you probably are right. Yeah. Whereas a man, it doesn't matter. Like, the wife's going to have the kids, be home, and he could just continue on getting promoted and things like that. But the sacrifices that women go through, like the strength, and I don't know, the grounding force that we still know this is what we're meant to do. This is our purpose. And to find that inner strength, even though we're tapped out by the time the baby comes. We're tapped out. And now you're given a baby and your whole life changes on top of it, on top of going through that. But there's so much inner strength women have.
Jessica, I love that you're bringing this up, because I feel like I'm loving today. Because we get to talk about things that we generally don't get to hear, because we always hear about the fluff. We always hear about oh my gosh, this is great. And this is, we're strong. But then behind the strength, there's this story of where it's not always perfect, where sometimes there are very difficult days. And so what do you find? You're such a powerhouse yourself. What do you find gets you through those days and showing up the way that you do? Because you show up so powerfully.
Oh, well, thank you for saying that. There are days, right, ladies, where you do not feel like that powerhouse. And you're catching me on day when, right before this, I did a meditation because I'm overwhelmed. I can be overwhelmed. I'm emotionally drained. That happens to women too, right? I feel whenever in our work, we're dealing with people with their money. So we care so deeply and we're so emotionally tied and sometimes depleted. And then I go home and I'm a mom to 2 young kids. And I'm like, if I'm emotionally drained at work, then I have nothing to give to my kids, my husband, even myself. So learning I don't want to use the word balance because I feel like work-life balance is
Harmony? That's another word I've been switching.
harmony. Yes,
Mhm.
Laura, yeah. Harmony. That's beautiful. Of how to pace yourself. And I think the awareness of when we need to take that time, like before this, to meditate, or this afternoon to go get myself out of my office walls and into a different environment. Having the boundaries of tuning out the external world. I had a very similar conversation with a client, and she's like, and I could tell she was struggling, right? She had some good things working for her, but her energy was low, right? We can tell when we're just not shining as bright as we usually do, or emotionally drained.
Yeah.
And I said to her, do you see the common denominator for all these pieces that you're telling me? And they're all affecting her money. And she's like, no, but we can always, an outsider can see it before we can see it. And I said, you are letting the outside world validate you. And you're putting all of those expectations on yourself and on the outside world. And that is a huge piece for women, is that outside validation and not feeling like we are enough until we are validated in all these different ways. And I think women often feel not enough. So how can we go inward to find that validation? And to me, that's always been God, which is what we started with, right? Knowing that in God's eyes, I am perfect just the way I am. Even this one book I read, she pointed out, she goes, even your flaws make you amazing. She goes, she called herself lazy. She goes, but that makes me a more efficient boss because I'm going to look for the most efficient way to get something done, or how to automate things, how to make it easier for the clients that I'm serving. Because if I'm lazy and I don't want to do something, I can expect them to want to do it. Like, it's so true. Even our flaws make us amazing when we can embrace them instead of feel bad about them.
I said the same thing when I was teaching my bed mass of wellness. I was like, don't worry, people, we're not doing math. We're doing wellness. We're just taking out the terms. But I'm like, I am lazy. When it comes to putting an effort in something, I want to do one effort and then have that one effort give me a ripple effect.
Ooh, I love that.
So then what is that one effort?
Mm.
How does, like, we need an understanding of how everything relates, how those puzzle pieces fit together. And all of my conversation, not just this week, but just in general in my business, is that's the hard part for people. We can find the puzzle pieces. We're getting pretty good at finding them in different places. We're not so good at putting them together.
Yes.
Yeah. So you had mentioned being in the financial industry, and having this mission and this passion and this drive that just pulls you forward on those days that you don't want to work. What is that mission behind it all? What pulls you?
Oh, it's been slowly building and building and building, and then here we are when we've launched this firm. And yes, remembering the why, as you said, and I was just going through that too, right? I could be overwhelmed or stressed over, right, the payroll and building the team and servicing the buyers and the clients. But then I started to write down, I was actually doing that this morning, so this is very timely conversation of, right, all the opportunities that it's brought to me, and then the ripple effect of even being able to hire more staff. And now I'm making a financial impact on their lives, their families' lives. And then we're an all-female team and platform. So our advisors are females, our team's females. Most of the women on our team, they're single mothers, or a lot of them are the breadwinners, and their family too. So it's interesting to see this dynamic. So now we know we're changing also the trajectory of the next generation. Because daughters of working moms earn about 25-30% more.
Wow.
So when you feel guilty, moms out there, because you're working, remember your daughters are going to earn more money. So don't feel guilty taking that time away, because you're setting up a new example, and especially women taking more risk. Right? Traditionally, we're told to have that flexible career where it's not too much travel, not too much responsibility. You can be home when you need to be home with the kids. So a lot of the times we're not going for those promotion raises because that means more after hours work or more travel time, being away from the family. And it could be children, it could be taking care. I've had clients leave work to take care of parents or their spouse, right? We're amazing nurturers. So we're very keen on dropping work to be the caretaker. But that also means leaving money on the table and those salary bumps and raises. And that means less money going into your 401k, less money going into Social Security, on and on. So as we keep changing this narrative for women to take more risk on their careers, on their businesses, their jobs, that means more money is going to come in the door for them. And that means more assets that they're able to save, and especially give back. Women give back about 4 times more than men. So to me, my mission is really changing the financial industry to get more female advisors involved, because then we can engage more female clients and investors to keep pushing them and inviting them to take these steps and betting on themselves instead of kind of being behind the scenes, holding everything together, right? Being the rock, but now being in front in the limelight, going for it and betting on themselves. So that's really the underlying mission. And then being able to get this to other countries, especially developing, underdeveloped countries, getting these financial resources out there and education.
Yes.
It's huge.
Okay, now I'm super excited because when I first started my business, I think my daughter was 3.5. And I remember, I know it was a fun age. I remember going to networking events and there was no babysitter. It was just me. So I would take her with me. And of course, the little ones, everybody smiles and everybody gravitates to. By the time she was 5, she's like, "Mommy, can I have your business cards?" I was like,
She knew what to
"Yes."
do.
Yeah, so then she would go out and she'd be like, "Hi, have you met my mommy? Her name's Laura Lake." And she would just hand people my business cards. It's like, no, that's not how you network. Let's talk about it.
That's amazing. Amazing. Natural born.
Yeah, and then by the time she was 8, she was like, she knew most of the people by that point because it's like the same core crowd and then different people that add. And it was beautiful watching that experience. But then from the other side, seeing other moms, just like you were saying, thinking that they needed to take time away from their family to come do this stuff. They're like, wait, I could bring my kid? It's like,
and
I didn't have a choice.
the
But
setup you're having with the children, the example, and see, I mean, it's just so neat whenever we can see our parents in a different perspective, a different light than that, just being at home.
And now is something new. Now we have a whole new layer. We're moving. And so there's lots of chaos over the next 4 months. So I got my daughter a cell phone. But here's the kicker. I'm like, I will buy you the minimum phone plan for what we need. But that means that you have to pay for it by working for me for a minimum of 2 hours a month to pay for that.
Oh,
and if you want a bigger plan, then you need to do more work for me and I will pay you for that and then pay the extra on the plan.
Oh, that's a great idea.
She's 13 now. So she's like, yeah, I'm interested in video editing. And one of my things that I'm horrible at is I will spend hours looking for photos and she'll get them like that. So I'm like, you do that. That is your first job. We'll start there.
Has so much strength. I was talking about that with my director of ops yesterday. She's like, yeah, my kids, I have them do all my social media. She does a lot of poetry and poetry readings. And the same thing. Technology comes so easily to them. I think they're called the alpha generation. So easily to them. It's like, why not? And for them, it's fun. They're building their resume too.
Yep.
Their experience, responsibilities. Amazing way to teach them the value of their work, their expertise, build experience and money.
But to just know that stat that you said where the kids of a working mom, especially like if you get them involved like that, that means so much to me. Thank you.
Of course. Made me feel better because I remember reading it right around when I was pregnant with my daughter.
Yeah.
And my grandmother had very successful. She had 2 TV shows in the DC area. And my mom was a stay-at-home mother. She worked at my father's firm here and there. But growing up, she always said to me, my mom, being my grandmother, picked her career and I picked my family. So I internalized that as we have to pick. You can't do both. So it took me a few years, especially after having my daughter, my first one, of like why this constant inner conflict and guilt and trading off. I think that happens with a lot of women where we're constantly flip-flopping back and forth. I want this career, I don't want it, or they're told they shouldn't have it, or right, the outside world's influencing us. And when that happens, we get nowhere with our career. We're kind of at this standstill because we have this internal conflict happening and stuff. So that's incredible. You brought your daughter. I'm sure she was the life of the party.
Oh, very much. Yes. Sometimes she would wear her Supergirl costume, and I'm all for it. I love cosplay too. So I'm like, if you want to wear that, sure. If you want to wear your Hulk costume, sure. She was very much into the Hulk.
That's amazing.
I remember one networking event, she didn't wear the mask, but she wore everything else, and she would go up to people and she's like, Hulk smash, and then she'd run to the next person.
Amazing.
Oh, that's perfect. Their personalities, I wish that never changed. How innocent and how robust and big they are at that age. They don't have any filters because they're not even insecure or nervous about the outside world yet.
So you had mentioned earlier about the opportunities and the ripple effects, because yes, all of this personal stuff affects our business and our business affects our personal. We're looking for that harmony, as we had discussed earlier.
Mhm.
But I also mentioned looking for something that we might be able to do with the audience. I'm thinking this idea with finding the ripple effects of your opportunities would be really fun. So can you give us an example of just one of the opportunities that has come up for you lately and some of the ripple effected results?
Ooh,
And I'll get
sure.
Masha to do the same thing.
Yes. And I don't think we realize it, or we're just used to this. But when you start to peel back and like all these different pieces from this one decision you made or this one risk that you took, I'm a big proponent. I talk about this in my book, Confessions of a Money Queen, is keeping this money miracle list. Yeah, Confessions of a Money Queen, this one right here.
Okay.
Because we don't realize how many different miracles just happen on a day-to-day basis for us. All of a sudden, my daughter started winning. We went out to dinner for work, and I brought her along, kind of like you. All my whole team was here. I want her in that room with all these powerful, driven women. And for some reason, they were doing this lottery game, and she won our entire dinner for my entire team for free.
Amazing.
And then we went on vacation. She won bingo 3 times. So I'm starting to calculate. I'm like, she won like $1,500 over the course of a week from these winnings. Then she goes to school, and her aftercare program, she wins this big stuffed animal. Like, of course, that one she loved the most. But like small little miracles, we need to keep track of them and recognize them and be grateful for them more and more. But so one ripple effect, going back to, it was probably a year ago, like last February, I was a 3-page spread, and it's an Insurance Newsnet magazine. So it's big in the finance industry. And they did a whole piece on myself being a very unconventional advisor, having written 3 books. I have all these different innovative programs and things. So all of a sudden, this woman starts popping into my email, and I'm not really sure what her company does. It's FIG marketing. And finally, they get a hold of me, and they invite me to like this conference in Nashville for all female advisors, like the top female advisors in the industry. Like, of course I want to go. I need to be in the room with these women. So I go, and they invited me, they cover the trip, and then they invite me on their podcast, and I'm speaking about all the things we're doing. And then they go, we want to work with you to build out our female platform. So they do on the insurance side or the asset management piece. Like, we love what you're doing with your own advisors. Like, can we do that with ours as well and have this nice partnership together? I'm like, yeah, that's perfectly in line with our mission and our values. And then that led to, more trips. I was on stage down in Dallas at their national conference. I was on stage in front of 500 people. I was the first female to get up on stage, which was amazing. I'm in my hot pink suit. I had sparkle platform sneakers on stage. I hosted a session. We did a branding photo shoot, all these different pieces. So it's like this one write-up all of a sudden led to, speaking engagements, more press, more PR, now working with their female advisors, their intertwining worlds. And we have this huge event next month. We're about 4 weeks away. It's our Hidden Power of Change. It's a financial summit for women. Now they're bringing their advisors to it. All of our advisors are coming and speaking. We're gonna have awards. It's gonna be an amazing day. So that's it. It just keeps building and building and building, right? The momentum from it, and that's a ripple effect, right? That positive momentum that brings more opportunities.
And to shine some extra light on that, think about every single woman that you've trained, every single woman who has heard you speak or read the book or every single step of the way. And then think about their clients and then the experience that they've had with their clients. And then the clients' families, like it expands so quickly.
Yeah.
But with that one piece of effort, that one little piece of content, that ripple effect exploded.
Yes. I mean, you could even trace that all the way back to my first book, right? That started,
Right?
or my first event for women that got kind of the juice flowing, my passion going, to my first blog article.
Yeah.
So that first little bit of inspiration, that's to do it. And then, as you were saying before, the courage to then go for it.
Yeah.
And to write that first page, right? It could all the way back to that first word on that first page, and your whole life, your whole career is completely different.
And it didn't necessarily become a perfect piece of content. It wasn't everything that you wanted to say. It was one piece with one message. Yeah.
I love that. Yes. Great point.
So
I'm
I'm going to ask.
Perfect.
So I'm going to ask everyone watching just to list something in the comments that was an opportunity for you. And then at home or in the comments, what are some of the ripple effects that have happened because of that?
Yeah.
That is so eye-opening to go, this one little thing has expanded to fill the screen because I can't put my hands any further. It really just makes your heart soar and it lights my soul on fire. I love that. So Masha, can you tell us like a little experience for you so we get more than one?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Yeah. Laura, I'm actually going to ask, I will say mine, but I want to make sure we don't skip over you. What has been your experience with this? What's been your effect?
One opportunity, one choice was I was speaking at an event a year and a half ago, and there was a challenge afterwards, and I didn't really know what I wanted my message to be. I knew it was changing. And then the words courageous connection popped into my head. From that moment on, I really dove into it. That's how Harvard happened. That's how this new book that I'm writing is happening. That's how I feel so aligned with my business now that I'm not afraid, Jessica, to dive in, as you were saying, and just go head into this. So now I'm just kind of figuring out what that looks like this year. It's exciting.
You make a good point, Laura, how that ripple effect, you don't even feel like it's risking anymore.
No.
But because you have so much momentum building for you, it's the natural next step. Probably the risk is the beginning stages when you're figuring it out.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're relying on how is this going to land or be perceived by my audience.
Yeah.
But by the end, you're like, this is just me. This is just how I operate now.
Now I have words to it.
And I love that you actually, I'm going to say mine and then I'm going to transition to a question for you, Jessica. So one of I'll talk about the most recent one, which was yesterday. I took a huge leap and I auditioned for the TED stage. I had a live audition yesterday, which is blowing my mind still. I'm still sitting here going, what did I just do? And their quick story behind it is, first of all, if you were to look at it from the outside, it would almost appear as luck, because what happened was, generally, for those of you in the audience who may not know, with the TED stage, there's a vigorous process to get on. The application process is really, really intense. Well, I somehow skipped that whole thing and went straight to the auditions. and it was the most incredible opportunity. They had an audition round for 25 people. What blew my mind is two things. First of all, they put it out. I saw it on April 1st. Literally thought it was an April Fool's joke. I'm like, this cannot be real. Oh my gosh. But they had it out for 2 days prior. So I'm like, okay, this is good. This seems legit. But then they've held it, from 2 days before the start of April to yesterday was the edition, the 12th. In those 2 weeks, they had 25 spots. I got there way in advance thinking, like, there's going to be a line of people. I want to be there. I want to be one of the first people in the door. Not all the spots were filled. Not everybody showed up. And it boggled my mind because it's so crazy how sometimes fear can take over and tells us that we can't or we're not ready or something instead of just doing it. Because then you can be unattached to the outcome. Whatever may happen, may happen. I don't know if I'm going to, get to the next stage, which is the finals. But the fact that I did it, the connections that I made there, what it took for me to get there, and knowing that I did it and I can, is going to change the trajectory of my life, regardless of the outcome of that one experience. We get so tied to this is whatever happens next is the deciding factor, but it's not. Your action is. So my question to you, Jessica, is, again, we're always looking for the finale. We paint this picture of success as being the final destination, and yet where you are today is success. Where you were yesterday was yesterday's success. And I want you to paint a picture. So when you are all done, when you're walking away and your vision is complete, and you're looking back and you're going, wow, the world has changed exactly how I wanted it to. The vision has been fulfilled. What does that look like when you turn around and look back?
Oh, that is a great question. And you're right. We constantly look at the end of the journey, the destination, instead of where we are today. And even looking back to a year ago, none of this I could even fathom. And how much can change just in that short period of time. And now you fast forward to 5-10 years, imagine what kind of growth it is. But, our vision is to have an advisor in every state in the United States, to have a way to give back financial literacy and resources to women in other countries as well. And to have this female financial alliance of female advisors or women in the industry who are ready to dedicate a certain number of hours, finances to that mission of getting more education out there to women, more connections and collaborations, aligning them up with a coach, a mentor, an advisor who can help and assist them. Because we know as women, if the more financially involved we are, the more financially independent we are, there's less abuse, whether it's financial abuse, physical, emotional abuse, a lot less manipulation. There's less divorce. There's less strain on relationships for it. And it frees women to go for more and more risks as well, to push themselves, challenge themselves, invite that next level into them. And we're building side by side the Women's Wealth Boutique, which is our financial firm. But the other side also is a multimedia part or division of our firm. So we launch our podcast, Women Behind the Millions. We have a TV show coming up shortly, our magazine, publishing not just my books, but all the advisors' books. Traditionally, the industry just works with people one-on-one in a relationship. They kind of shun people who don't have a certain number of assets, right? Don't work with them. It's not profitable. But there's a way that we can leverage our expertise and experience through these different media outlets, whether it's courses, books, events, TV shows, just so women start having different conversations around money, that they can understand how money works, how they can apply it in the way that works best for them as well. So it kind of works going side by side is, empowering more female advisors, to empower more women to get involved, more female clients, and then getting these resources, this media piece out there so women everywhere can access them. Mm-hmm.
So what is your favorite way to share your message? I see you have 3 books, or is it 4 behind you? I'm not
3 books,
sure.
3 books and a blog. Yes.
Blog.
JessicaWeaver.com. I love speaking. I love having these kind of conversations. I mean, this completely has turned my day around and gave me that oomph back I needed to fill back up my emotional pipe, or whatever you want to call it. I do love speaking. I love writing. Writing to me as we all know, you can't push through a writer's block. So I write it in waves. I kind of batch it, and I'll write a ton, about a ton of content, and then I kind of recharge. Or I just like getting new experiences. Whether I'm learning from a new client or I'm hearing a horror story and how could we fix that, but then also prevent it for the next person that would happen to. So I love getting that inspiration and learning and observing, working with our advisors in such a collaborative way so that I see how are they approaching an issue like this? How are they helping people at a different time of their life or going through a divorce? And reading and getting inspired that way as well. That helps me want to speak more and write more.
What's your favorite part about being on a stage?
Ooh,
I know.
that's a
You love
good
that.
question. It's kind of after the first few minutes,
Mhm.
you have the nerves, you're excited, you have all that energy, and then you get into the groove of it. And
Yeah.
you see, especially when you see people participating,
Yes.
making eye contact, you writing it down. I always love doing a meditation to start with.
Ooh.
And seeing, and we did this when I was in Dallas at this conference. So I had the whole audience meditate. And afterwards, this gentleman from Alabama came over to me in his deep Southern accent. He's like, I didn't know where you were taking. I can't even do that accent. When you told me to close my eyes, the first time he's ever meditated. And afterwards, people came up to me like, we have never done a meditation at a financial conference before. Like, what a breath of fresh air. Instead of just being told about products and how to sell, you actually had us take a moment to see what stage do we want to be on, right? Who do we want to work with? And we would internally, instead of just the outside world telling us how and what we should be doing. So when people like that will try something new too, and they're actually into it. They're not just doing it because everybody around them is doing, but they want to be engaged and involved. That's probably my favorite part, Laura. What about you, ladies? What's your favorite part about being on stage?
I definitely love that moment of silence after you give something juicy and you watch people's faces go. And it's usually about 3 seconds of silence.
Mhm.
Some people get really nervous, and I'm just like, yes, process that because I know what's happening.
Yeah, I remember seeing, and she's a great speaker, Sarah Watson, speak, and she pointed that out to the audience. She said something, everybody, right, that jaw drop kind of go like,
Yeah.
and she goes, see that? Everybody's quiet because it said something really important. He said, and she pointed it out.
Yeah.
Wow, the fact that she took the pause, as you said, Laura, because so many times we breathe through it because it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then to reiterate it to us.
Yep. It's like you wait that 3 seconds and then you're like, okay, I'm going to say it slowly again so that people that didn't quite process in the 3 seconds can make sure that they got what
Yes.
they needed to get. And sometimes it's because they're stuck on a single word. So I like to either switch like a single word or give multiple suggestions for a single word that I think they might trip over. And it's just like,
Really
so
good
good.
tip.
Yeah.
Really good
Well,
tip.
and the connection that creates, because I mean, I think oftentimes we self-isolate in our thoughts or in our experiences, and here it's kind of creating that common factor and then acknowledging it and seeing the person's. I mean, one of the most incredible things I've ever heard about speaking a long time ago from somebody who saw me as a speaker before I could even imagine it. He said, it doesn't matter if you're talking to 5 people, 50 people, or 50,000, because you're still talking to one individual.
Yeah.
So it's that connection and getting that back from each person, that they're there with you, that you're there with them, and you have this shared experience, even if it's in a group, but it's still one-on-one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you remember back in high school when you used to sit on the desk and have a one-on-one conversation with your friend? That's how I imagine being on a stage.
Mhm.
I really want
That's a good visual.
on the stage to just sit on the edge of the desk and be like, look, we're having a conversation. It's you and me, even though there's like lots of people, but it's you and me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it was the DMs for some of the people that we're interviewing this week. I'm like, just imagine like you're sitting on the couch at my mom's house, right? Like we're just having a lovely personal conversation and bringing your business into it. It's so casual. You feel comfortable.
Yeah.
That's what I want from this. We want to get to know the human being behind the business, because then when you decide, oh, I'm going to shift my business slightly, we don't disconnect from you, because now we're connected to you, not necessarily the way that you express it or the tools that you used. Now we can follow you. That's what you want.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm going to remember these ladies. These are good tips for speaking. Yes. Love that.
So then do you have more books planned?
I'm kind of at that point because I write them about every 2 years. This would have been the year. I'm like, whew, I really do, because we put so much into the Women's Wealth Boutique. We opened it a year ago. We have the summit coming up. We have a magazine that's coming out with the summit. We launched our podcast this year. So different creative outlets than the book. I do want to do a book with my daughter. I can see it. I can visualize it. I know the title, how it's going to flow. And now it's just going to find some time, maybe this summer, to get her engaged with it as well.
Are you willing to share the title with us?
Yes, it's called The Girl Who Lost Her Crown. And it's going to be on a journey of a girl who thought she had lost her crown. And there's going to be teachings of money throughout it and value, some God in it as well. And yes, figuring out, is she going to draw the pictures, or I was thinking maybe we take pictures of her and her cousins and friends through town, and then we make those pictures look like it was drawn, or coloring.
Well, that's what I was going to suggest. One of my favorite things that I wanted to do for like a motivational deck is just to take photographs and then just very simple with like a marker or something over it, digitally, of course.
Yes.
Shift that photo to be the imagined future or next step of that photo.
Ooh.
So like if she wanted to wear a crown, you just kind of like draw a cheesy little crown on top in white or something. So you can tell it's not part of the photo, but it's like this fun evolution of imagination.
Love that, Laura. I'm definitely taking that.
Go ahead.
That is amazing. That's a great idea. Yes, having that more hand drawn, written. It looks like a child might have done it.
Exactly. It's like, get a good photo and then get your daughter to just like doodle over the image. It would be such a
good idea.
That sounds amazing. Oh my
So we
God.
have a few minutes left. I want to make sure that everyone listening knows what it is that you want to leave them with. So what is it that you want them to remember out of this conversation?
Ooh, I know we hit on a lot
of
points today, but what's coming to me is going back to that outside validation, or feeling like you're not enough, because I feel that feeling of not enough just ripples into everything, right? My money's not enough. It's never going to be enough. I'm never going to be enough. My job, right? The family, nothing's ever enough. And when we're in that scarcity mode mindset, even not enough time, it affects our money in so many ways. Yeah. So the more that we can go internally to find out, why is it I have these feelings? Is it from a parent who told me this, an ex-partner, a spouse? What's going in? What is that programming that we need to fix and reprogram, so that you do feel enough every single morning when you wake up, that you have enough money, you have enough time. Practicing that gratitude each and every day can make so many shifts in your life. And just how long can we stay in that content, satisfaction, appreciation zone? And if we can extend that every day by a few minutes, an hour, it's amazing, as we said, the ripple effect for it. So I just encourage everybody who's watching here, take the time to do that internal work. I've been in this industry for over 13 years. I grew up in the financial industry. My father's been an advisor for 40 years. And the industry really they do a great job, but it's all these quick fixes or very surface level, right? Yes. I'm in debt. Well, here's a tool to get out of debt. But what's the reason you're in debt in the first place, right? Exactly. Why are you consistently doing certain behaviors with money? Yeah. Let's fix those triggers, those insecurities, blocks first, and then we can line them up with the right investment vehicle or account that's going to even optimize it more. But that's what I love to do, is focus on the internal piece first, and then we can enhance it with the other pieces of the industry.
That's definitely pretty much opposite of what I hear a lot in the financial industry. So yay, Jessica. And I wanted to share one thing with you. I've been doing a lot of money mindset work because of everything that you shared with us today. And I actually have a love note to money that I keep in my wallet. It says, "Thank you, money. You've given me so many adventures, opportunities, and experiences. I'm sorry I've been needy," since we were talking about that. "And I'm learning to feel that love and support from within first. Thank you, Laura Lake."
Oh, that's an amazing note.
Yeah. And
I love
I'm,
that
I'm
it's present. It's
Yeah.
there when you need it to remind you. If you can be
Yeah.
like post it on your computer, your phone, whatever it is. You're right. We forget all that money has done for us.
Yep.
And that it's always been there. They built that trust back up
Exactly.
with it.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you so much for this delightful conversation. And
Oh,
of course,
thank
the
you,
bright pink
lady.
to like liven me up a little bit too.
It's spring here where I am. It's beautiful outside. Yes, I'm excited to wear sandals, dresses again.
Oh my
But thank you, ladies. This has been so much fun. You really brought my energy back up for the afternoon. So thank you, Masha.
I've been sending you love since the beginning. I felt it, so I knew that you needed it.
Same.
How would we find you? How do we get a hold of you?
Ooh, sure. You can go to jessicaweaver.com. If you go there for Confessions of a Money Queen, you can get the free audiobook there as a special gift. There's money meditations in there, mindset work, journal work as well. Grab it, or on Instagram at Pink Fix My Money. Or you can check us out at Women's Wealth Boutique as well.
I love the whole pink fix my money.
That's amazing.
Pink fixes everything. Pink Fit can fix your money, your mindset. And it started with just, get your dose of pink for the day. What is that, like your note in your wallet around money, right? What is that piece that you need to take the risk or to just show up fully you when it comes to your money each and every day? So Pink Fix, it just started and has grown and grown.
This is so great. Okay,
Yeah.
Masha, do you have any final comments for Jessica before we say goodbye to her?
I just don't want this to end. I want to keep talking with you. This is amazing.
I know, you guys are incredible. Thank you, ladies, so much.
So
Jessica.
Masha, stay on the cast for a little bit. I want to talk to you afterwards, but I want to say thank you so much for everyone for joining us today, whether it's live or on the replay. And of course, I appreciate when you do engage and when you do practice things with us. We are back tomorrow for the final day, day 5 of Blue Talks Amplify Your Message. Same bat time, same bat channel. 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern, which in my time, Atlantic, is 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. So we will see you again tomorrow. Much love. Mwah. Thanks so much.
Thanks, ladies. Thanks, everyone. Bye.